Good evening. It is 7 p.m. I call this January 21st, 2026 regular meeting of the Cupertino City Council to order.
Recording in progress.
Madam City Attorney, will you please explain the changed remote teleconferencing rules that have been implemented and what that means for this evening and moving forward?
Yes. Under the old rules, when a council member desired to participate or needed to participate remotely to join a council meeting, there were a number of different mechanisms for doing so. One of them required the council member to post the agenda, post his address outside where the council person was participating in the meeting from the remote location, and it also required the clerk to include that location on the agenda, and that was so that a member of the public could join the meeting at that remote location if that member of the public so chose. In that scenario, if the council member's connection is interrupted for any reason, then any individual member of the public who happened to be at that location wishing to participate in public comment would be unable to do so. And so under our old agendized rules, we would have to shut down the whole meeting because this political body, like all municipalities, depend highly on the public participation. It's a very important part of the democratic process, and if that's interrupted, then we have an issue. And so in the past, we have closed down meetings when that occurred. A way to allow us to move forward with our meetings, which is also very important, that the council do the city's business, we've identified a new solution, which is when a council member is participating remotely and is posting their agenda, if an individual of the public plans to show up at their location so that they can address the council via that remote connection, they have to let the clerk know on the day of the meeting by noon. It's similar to when you want to speak here in Community Hall, you fill out a speaker card. Or if you want to participate via Zoom, you raise your hand on Zoom. This is just another mechanism for informing the city council and the clerk that this member of the public wishes to speak during the meeting. And if the clerk receives that information, then the clerk will know a member of the public wants to participate from that location. And if it turns out that that location is interrupted, then the city might have to close down its meeting when that happens. But it's highly unlikely that that would happen because we find that very few people actually participate in meetings from the remote locations. They most come to Community Hall or interface via Zoom. And so we have included the new rules in the agenda packet to inform the public that if they want to participate from a remote location when one is agendized, they need to inform the city by noon. And that should allow us, for the most part, to be able to continue our meetings even when the council person who's participating remotely's connection fails and they're unable to participate. And in that situation, just like if the council member were here in Community Hall and had to leave for some reason, the meeting would still go on. You would just have one less council member. And it's sort of similar how we are tonight. Tonight, Councilmember Wong is not with us because he's quite ill. And so we will move forward with the meeting without his participation with the 4 council members who are present. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Attorney. If you are able to, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Furin.
Here.
Councilmember Mohan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chow.
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
And for the record, Councilmember Wong is absent.
All right, thank you. Next is the closed session report. Madam City Attorney, do we have any closed session reports?
We did conduct a closed session and the matter was heard, but there's no reportable action taken.
All right, thank you. Next, we have ceremonial items. The subject is a presentation from Homestead High School Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA, regarding sustainable fashion and community upcycling initiatives. Welcome to our FBLA students. From Homestead High School Future Business Leaders of America, Officers Adve Renade and Muhan Yang will give a presentation on sustainable fashion and community upcycling initiatives and receive certificates of commendation. Welcome.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here.
Thank you.
Get started.
All right. Good evening, Cupertino City Council. My name is Adve Ranade.
And my name is Muhan Yang. We are from Homestead High School's Future Business Leaders of America Club, and we are the co-chairs of the Community Service Project for the 25-26 school year. Fast fashion has become a normal part of how we consume clothing, but its impact is anything but normal. In fact, fast fashion is a major contributor of textile waste in landfills, environmental pollution, and unsustainable consumer habits. Large amounts of clothing are discarded every year, not because they're unusable, but because of overproduction and unsold retail leftovers.
And one of the key issues is that most students, just like us, don't see what actually happens to their clothes after they're thrown away. So Muhan and I soon realized that if we intervene early and locally, through education and action, we can significantly reduce the impact on the community. So through this student-led initiative, we decided to focus our FBLA community service project on sustainable fashion to tackle the fast fashion issue of our time at the community level.
Our goals were simple but effective. We wanted to educate students and community members on fast fashion while hands-on reducing textile waste through reuse and redistribution. Another goal was to build lasting partnerships between schools, nonprofits, and local businesses. Rather than just focusing on awareness, we also made sure to prioritize outcomes, real education and waste reduction with long-term systems that last beyond a single year.
So education started with just the project members and students themselves. From September 2025 to now the end of January of 2026, our project held 10 bi-weekly project meetings for over 75 Homestead High School student participants. And the students learned about things like the full life cycle of clothing, the environmental consequences of fast fashion, and more. But this wasn't just lecture-based learning.
Students actively participated and developed public speaking, marketing, and collaboration skills by planning events and working directly with business partners in order to outreach for materials. This ensured that students weren't just informed, but that they were empowered to lead as well.
We then expanded beyond our project members and Homestead student group to the broader community. In January of 2026, we hosted Daniel Maldonado from Sacred Heart Community Service in San Jose, who spoke about fast fashion and the clothing services his organization provides to underserved communities in this area. This event reached 35 of our project members on January 14th of 2026.
We also launched the Thread the Truth social media campaign, which reached over 1,000 community members with accessible student-created educational content via Instagram about fast fashion. Currently, we're working with the FUHSD advisory program to produce an educational video that will reach approximately 9,800 students across 5 high schools, scaling our impact district-wide.
Education was also paired with direct action in the community. Through partnerships with the Homestead High School's Associated Student Body Sustainability Commission and local department and thrift stores, we collected clothing that would have otherwise been thrown away directly to landfills. As a result, over 150 pounds of clothing was diverted from landfills, and more than 400 pounds of clothing was donated directly to Sacred Heart Community Service. And then Sacred Heart upcycled and redistributed these clothes free of cost to underserved communities in the cities of Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and San Jose.
To ensure sustainability, we focused on building long-term systems. We connected Homestead CSF, California Scholarship Federation, with over 200 members, directly to Sacred Heart Community Service, creating an ongoing volunteer pipeline. Students continue assisting with sorting, cleaning, and packaging donations, assuring this work continues even beyond the project year.
In total, more than 75 students were engaged through our project, over 10,000 students and community members were educated, and more than 550 pounds of clothing were reused or redistributed. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to present our accomplishments to the city of Cupertino.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation and the diversion of waste. There are a number of elected officials, which you might not know, that are in the area who find excellent, gently used items at thrift shops, and both giving a second life to used clothes and reducing our costs. Thank you for your work on clothing impacts on the environment, and kudos to presenting to a completely full house tonight with great poise. You did a wonderful job. So great work, and we're going to come out and have a photo with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think if we can come in a little bit more, please. Okay, that looks great. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Take another one. And I'm going to turn this off and do some vertical pictures. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have no further presentations. Next, Madam City Clerk, are there any postponements and orders of the day?
No postponements, Mayor.
Okay, thank you so much. Our next item is oral communications.
So this,
Give me a second, please. Seeing that we have, I'm not sure people are aware of this, we have an over 2,800 page agenda package and have 2 housing projects with 2 hours allotted to them, along with consultants queued up. I will take the chair's prerogative, and we will first hear 30 minutes of oral communications on non-agendized items now, then continue to the council's agendized business. And should there be more than 30 minutes of oral communications, we will then continue the item to after item 17 per the agenda. We are consolidating time. So individual speakers, because we have a packed room, will have 90 seconds with 60 seconds per individual for consolidated time up to 5 people. And as a reminder not to disrupt the meeting, please do not block the view out of respect for the other members who are here, members of the public, and out of respect for different opinions, we respectfully request that there is no clapping. So, Madam City Clerk, will you please provide the public with instructions for commenting and conduct oral communications? Thank you.
yes, this portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter within the jurisdiction of the council and not on the agenda for discussion. The total time for oral communications will ordinarily be limited to 1 hour. Individual speakers are limited tonight, per the mayor, to 90 seconds. As necessary, the chair may further limit the time allowed to individual speakers or reschedule remaining comments to the end of the meeting on a first-come, first-heard basis with priority given to students. In most cases, state law will prohibit the council from discussing or making any decisions with respect to a matter not listed on the agenda. A council member may, however, briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by speakers. A council member may also ask a question for clarification, provide a reference for factual information, request staff to report back concerning a matter, or request that an item be added to a future city council agenda in response to public comments. Mayor, at this time, I am seeing 22 requests to speak under oral communications, along with 3 groups, totaling about 38 minutes. And at this time, I am seeing 2 requests to speak virtually in addition to that.
All right. Because some individuals may continue to bring up speaker cards as this item continues, for now, we're going to stick with the 30 minutes at this time, and then have the second tranche of speakers right after item 17, with the caveat that if we do not end up having an excess of speaker cards flood in after, that 38 minutes seems reasonable at this time. But please let us know if it starts increasing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first speaker card that we have in person is Hadia. Did you want to speak again? Yes? Yes. Okay. Welcome to the podium, and you'll have 90 seconds. You can start when you're ready.
Hadia Fain, is it on?
Is the microphone?
Hello?
Yes.
Hadia Fain, Vice President of Marketing and Development for Life Services Alternatives. And I'd like to thank this governing body for your contributions and your leadership to Cupertino. I'm here because I'd like to discuss Mary Ave. It has been, from what I understand, about 10 years since we've had affordable housing in the city of Cupertino, and this particular agenda item has been lagging in limbo. I, along with many of my other counterparts that are here tonight, other organizations, and even policymakers, would like to call on the leadership of this city to say yes on Mary Ave and to lead us home so that I can see you're already in blue tonight by your set. I would like for every time you see blue for you to say, lead them home too. Hashtag, lead us home. There is definitely a reason why this room is full tonight. It's because we want our voices heard. But just so that I've been clear, for all of those who don't have the ability to speak to you in common English the way that we understand, we're asking you, Madam Mayor, lead us home. Council members, lead us home. Yes on Mary Ave. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to call the first group up. Jennifer Castillo, Doug, and Eileen. Welcome to the podium. As the group, you'll have 3 minutes this evening. And next up, we'll have the next group. If you want to get ready for the podium, Cassie, I'm sorry, I cannot read your last names, and Cindy Van Zoren and I cannot read the other name. Sorry, Cassie. So you'll be next. But yes, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. So my name is Jennifer, and I'm with Ability Path, and this is Doug and Eileen, and I've been working with them for 15 years. And so I just want to ask them just some brief questions to explain to you why it's important to us. So Doug and Eileen, how long have you been in your apartment?
14 years.
14 years. Now, do you have a son?
Yes.
How old is your son now?
18.
Okay, so you moved in when he was about 5?
Yes. 4 or 5 around there.
Okay, and you've been living in affordable housing the whole time?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and where is he at now?
Well, as of right now, he's home.
Okay.
But he's going to school like for the answer.
He's at De Anza now, so he's a college student now. Okay, so what has it meant to both of you to live in affordable housing and raise your family?
I'm happy to raise my son to be helpful with me, taking care of me, and
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Is it on? Okay, so to reiterate, you're happy that you're able to raise your son in your home together as a family?
Yeah.
Okay, anything you want to say, Doug?
Yeah, and also showing, him how to be independent too.
Okay. So, and you think that that wouldn't have been able to happen if you guys didn't have your housing together?
Probably not.
Okay. So then do we want that to happen for those in Cupertino?
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Okay, I think we're done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the next group, Cassie and Cindy. Welcome.
Thank you. Come on over here, Cindy. Thank you. So I want to introduce Cindy and I want to introduce Sepide. And I know them both and they have their own apartment in Cupertino and they're long-term residents of Cupertino going to all the different grammar schools and high schools here. So Cindy, I'm going to ask you a question. What are some of the most favorite things you like to do in your own apartment?
I like to stay home without my parents with Cindy to have my apartment that's close to her house and my apartment.
Do you like to cook?
This I do with Jennifer and Cindy.
And Sepide, I've been working with you a long while, and you are so talented, living independently. And what are some of the favorite things you like to do in your apartment?
Okay, I like to cook, clean, chores. My favorite hobby is I like to knit some more.
Sepide knitted this for me.
That's right.
And you've been living, Cindy, thank you, Sepide. You've been living, how long have you been living independently, Cindy?
In the year 2000, after I graduated top college, and it was a lot of years before I was 49 years old, and next year I'll be 50 years old. But I still like to see my parents without missing them too much.
And I don't know how much time we have, but, and so Sepide, I know you both like to entertain at your apartment. You both like to have small lunch parties, and sometimes you make food for people and have larger potlucks, especially before COVID, right? So that was so exciting, and I think you're both magnificent, living independently, and we all want people to have a good place to live, right, Sepide?
That's right. But I went to school, all my friends. Me, Cindy, and also my other friends, Eric Lamont. So I know Eric Lamont, Cupertino High Schools.
I just remember people who are old, people and new people who know Cindy a lot when I was in school, and I got graduated from that. And now I'm still here at the meeting tonight, and I still like my parents, and I still like Cindy.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the next group. You're welcome to come to the podium. Maddie Forte Goldman, Eric Rummans, and Philip Ma. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Maddie Forte, and I'm going to introduce my first client, Eric Ramans. Eric lives in the area. He graduated Cupertino High School in class of 91. Eric, where do you live on your own?
I live in Sunnyvale, California.
What's the name of your complex?
267 West California.
Stony Pines, right?
Villa,
Why do you like living on your own?
independent,
Why is it important for you to live in the area?
my family, support, and friends and family.
And what are some things I help you with?
I'm helping at the Palo Alto Summer Garden, and also I like to move. I like to move things. I like to move. I like to move on.
All right, thank you so much, Erics. Next up, I'm going to talk to Philip. Philip is another one of my clients. He lives in the Cupertino area. He is an artist, art teacher, and has aspirations of living on his own. Philip, why do you want to live on your own someday?
Because I want to have my own apartment, but not the house, yeah.
Why is it important for you to stay near Cupertino?
Because I have my parents is there.
And what kind of things do I help you do?
Do some independent learning, living skills, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Philip. And my last client I have to speak with you tonight is Ann Berry. She currently lives on her own in Mountain View and graduated from Mountain View High School. Ann, why do you like to live on your own?
Because of have my own space and I don't have to share with anyone.
Don't you decorate it?
Decorate it, yeah.
What color is it all decorated?
Pink.
And why do you like to stay in Mountain View?
Because they're my parents.
How do I help you at your apartment?
Well, the difficult stuff most of the time, but not the easy stuff like doing laundry and taking out the trash. I just did today.
What kind of place do you live at, Anne?
15A5 Studios.
And one last question for you, Anne. What's the really exciting thing that you're getting at your apartment?
A cat.
So as you can see, my clients are very happy living on their own, and they take so much joy in being independent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A reminder, please, no applause. We support all sorts of different views, and we want to make sure everyone feels included here. Also, please keep the signs down below so that people behind you are able to see. All right, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, next up we'll welcome John Robinson from SARC, followed by Patty Hamagachi, followed by Corey Wolbach. Welcome, John.
Thank you for giving this opportunity to speak to council. The city of Cupertino has an opportunity to promote inclusion for us. Mary, who out of the village, will give some independence, as you can see right there, to the disability community. For promoting diversity in your neighborhoods. The council can help promote independence and self-efficacy for the people with disabilities in your community. I'm asking the council to support affordable housing project. I said yes on the former housing project. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have Patty Hamaguchi, followed by item 15. Oh, thank you for the clarification. Sorry about that. Next up, we have Corey Wolbach, followed by Jennifer Sheeran, followed by Gia Pham and Janet Van Zoren. Welcome, Corey.
Is this working okay?
There we go.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. Thank you to each of you and to the city staff for your public service and for having this opportunity for public comment. My name is Corey Wolbach. I'm the Civic Leadership Manager at Silicon Valley at Home. We support affordable housing throughout Santa Clara County, and we are enthusiastically in support of Mary Avenue Villas. We think this is a great opportunity for people in Cupertino and for the community to make sure there are affordable homes, especially for people who really need them and the opportunity would have for them to live independently here and remain part of our community. Thank you again for your time, and at the earliest opportunity you have to support it at the dais, we hope you'll enthusiastically join everybody here in supporting Mary Avenue Villas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey. Next up is Jennifer Sheeran, followed by GFM, or Janet Van Zoren and Connie Cunningham.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Moore, for the first time, and council members. I'm here on behalf of all the walkers and cyclists in our city, which numerous very many, including Walk Bike Cupertino, which now has over 2,700 members. We're here in support of the Mary Avenue project, and that's because it adds a sidewalk as well as protects the bike lanes that we've all have enjoyed along Mary Avenue, the protected bike lanes for our residents and for people who come to work and shop here in our city. So I ask you that you continue moving this project forward, and thank you for considering.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up, Janet Van Zoren. I'm not sure if you were speaking with Gia. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. Thank you so much for your time.
Sorry,
I know that,
sorry to interrupt, Janet. Were you guys speaking as a group or as a group?
Yes,
okay. Okay, so you'll get 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for your time. I know that it's a lot more people than usual, but I think it's a beautiful thing that so many people from Cupertino City, their friends, families, neighbors, have all come out and are here today at the same time and place to exercise their civil rights and share a window into their lives. Housing Choices. My name is Gia Pham, and I'm the communications coordinator at Housing Choices. And Housing Choices provides on-site support services at affordable housing developments, including the services that we will provide at Mary Avenue. Our role is to help individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities retain housing long-term. This includes mediation, communication with property management, safety reminders, and proactive support to make sure that issues are resolved before they escalate. These services are provided in addition to each resident's independent living services and supported living services. Cupertino is home to 325 residents with developmental disabilities, yet nearly 70% of the adults with IDD still live with aging parents. Many are here today, and question we all have over and over is, where will my child live when I can no longer care for them? Mary Avenue Villas is a rare opportunity to be that answer for so many families that are here in this room today. We have been advocating for IDD housing in Cupertino for over 25 years. It was actually the first city that Housing Choices came to look for partnership. The Valco project in 2018, one of them, once included 40 units for individuals with IDD, but it was ultimately shut down. Other potential sites throughout the years were simply too expensive because the land had to be paid for by the developer, and the city already put Mary Avenue Villas in their housing element and gave $4 million in funding towards this project. So we are so incredibly thankful because we cannot afford to lose another opportunity. That is why we have invited individuals with IDD and their members of Circles of Support to be here today so we can hear directly from them, including a parent advocate, Janet.
Good evening. I'm sure you've all seen me before advocating for Mary Avenue Villas, so I'm going to keep this very short. First, I want to thank all the different groups that I have been contacting, and I don't know if that's right side up or upside down. Can you see it? I can't see it on the thing. Anyway, there's over 20 groups that I have contacted to try to get their help in providing people who could come to the meeting and show their support. And in lieu of my speaking anymore. What I'd like to do is to turn around and ask everyone who's here tonight in support of Mary Avenue Villas to please stand. This is indeed a community-wide project. Thank you.
Thank you, Gia and Janet. Next up, we have Connie Cunningham, followed by Allison Gray, followed by Cynthia Naylor. Welcome, Connie.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Connie Cunningham. I am Chair of the Housing Commission, speaking for myself only in support of Mary Avenue Villa project. Mayor Scharf made this a council priority in 2019. I thank all the councils since then who have moved it forward during many approval steps, including the housing element. The Housing Commission recommended funds over $3 million in March of 2025 last year. When that recommendation reached the council added over $1 million funds. Thank you for moving it forward on December the 12th. I support the project and urge a yes vote when it next comes to council. Thank you all for your time this evening.
Thank you, Connie. Next up, we have Allison Gray, followed by Cynthia Naylor, followed by Dolly Sandoval. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. My name is Allison Gray, and I'm here representing the College of Adaptive Arts. We wholeheartedly support the Mary Avenue Villas project, and I implore you to vote yes, support our community, and please lead us home. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Next up, we have Cynthia Naylor, followed by Dolly Sandoval, followed by Hadia Fan. Would you? No? Okay. Followed by Jennifer Sheeran. She already spoke. Okay, followed by John Robinson. Welcome, Cynthia.
Yes, I'm Cynthia Naylor. I'm here tonight as a parent advocate, I guess I would say. And just to tell a personal story. Number one, I learned about this housing project a while ago. I thought, let me put my name in at least on like a waiting list or something for my son because he'll be ready in 2027, I guess, which was the original move-in dates that were. And lo and behold, found out it actually doesn't have final approval. And I was sort of shocked about that, to be perfectly honest. I thought it was a done deal. We are Cupertino residents, obviously. My son was born here, grew up entirely through all the school districts for Cupertino, all the way up until he was actually in the Fremont Union High School District's post-secondary program, which is all about learning independent skills, how to navigate life after they're out of all these special education programs. He does want to live independently, probably in the near future. And like I said, we live here. He actually is still taking classes at De Anza College. He just got his very first paying job, which is at the Trader Joe's right on Homestead Avenue. And we live right along Foothill Boulevard. So I'm sorry to speak so personally, but in this case, it's the absolute perfect location from him. It's in the community he already knows, he's lived in his whole life, and is comfortable living in for a person with autism.
Thank you, Cynthia. That is your time. Next up, we have Dolly Sandoval. I have a second speaker card for John Robinson, but he's already spoken. Followed by Marcia Elmer, followed by Per Maresca. Welcome, Dolly.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. Many of us here, including those of you who serve in a position of leadership, work every day to improve the community where we all live, work, and play. Our shared responsibility is to ensure that public policy and infrastructure serves the needs of the entire community. Whether we are building a library, a park, a fire station, or an emergency operations center, success depends on thoughtful, inclusive design. In education policy, we learned that students with disabilities thrived in the least restrictive environments. During my time as an educator, integrating students with disabilities into mainstream classrooms required planning and investment, but ultimately it improved the outcomes for all students. That shift was evidence-based and successful. Housing policy should follow the same approach. Modern disability policy no longer supports institutionalization nor isolation for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Best practices support community-based housing that offers dignity, stability, and appropriate services. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Dolly. Next up is Marcia Elmer, followed by Per Maresca, followed by Shira Leader. Welcome, Marcia.
Good evening, City Council members. I'm here to support the Mary Avenue Villa project. My name is Marcia Elmer. I'm a 30-plus year resident of Cupertino, a Rotary member, and also a parent of a daughter with developmental and intellectual disabilities. She's an adult and does not live in the Bay Area as it's too expensive here, and this housing will very much help people who are in her situation and want to live independently. So please support this very worthwhile project. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Next up, we have Per Maresca, followed by Shira Leader, followed by Stephen Kwan. Welcome.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Per Maresca. I'm a client of the San Andreas Regional Center, Ability Path, and Housing Choices. I'm here to advocate for the housing proposed for Mary Avenue. As a person with an intellectual and developmental disability, I was lucky to move into a studio apartment in Mountain View in 2015. The City of Mountain View First Community Housing and Housing Choices gave me the opportunity to begin living independently. This is a huge step in life, especially for people like myself. On behalf of the 19 people with intellectual or developmental disabilities who we hope will be able to make a home in the Mary Avenue Villas, I ask you to support that development in every way. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Per. Next up, we have Shira Leader, followed by Stephen Kwan, followed by Akash Day. I apologize for any mispronunciations.
My name is Shirley, and my friend also for me.
My name is Akash. I'm Shira's job developer, and she's provided me with what to read for her. My name is Shira Leader, and I am a disabled advocate.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to notify you that you will have double the time
Okay.
because you're translating.
My name is Shira Leader. I am a disabled advocate. I'm currently doing my master's at UCSF in developmental disability studies. All my life, I believe in accessible and inclusive, affordable housing for all people, especially those with disabilities. I live with my family in Palo Alto, and housing is really expensive. I would love to have my own place one day, but I can't afford it, especially in the Bay Area. I am here to support my disability community to approve this housing project. Thank you for listening to me tonight regarding this important matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Stephen Kwan. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Next is Akash Day, followed by Audrey Robinson, followed by Lisa Zugel. Welcome, Akash.
Hi, good evening, City Council. My name is Akash Day, and I'm a self-advocate that's here tonight, and I'm also a job developer with Ability Path. I got into job development because as a neurodivergent individual, I wanted to help reduce barriers for individuals with disabilities, and I can say that this population really faces barriers that the average person doesn't have to. On top of that, I can say for the individuals who I've helped employ, there was a major difference for individuals who had affordable housing and for those who don't. I remember particularly one participant I had. He had just lost his job, and because he didn't have affordable housing, he had to put all his paycheck towards it, and he would only have $100 left in his account. This is a barrier that we normally don't have to face, and just thinking about that mental stress he had to face every day, it was a big deal. I support this project because as a community, we have a responsibility to lift barriers, and by not approving it, we're showing that it's okay to keep these barriers down. And everyone here is here together to show that in solidarity, we want these barriers lifted. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. Next up, we have Audrey Robinson, followed by Lisa Zugel, followed by Luis Sadati. Welcome, Audrey.
Thank you, Council. My name is Audrey Robinson, Service Coordinator from San Andreas Regional Center. I'm here today to show my support for the Mary Avenue homes. As a Service Coordinator, part of our job is to provide services and locate housing opportunities for our clients. We work closely with Housing Choices Coalition, which is also here as well. And a big barrier is finding affordable housing, and it can take months to years, right, to even get someone placed there, let alone our clients who have disabilities. And so with the opening of these properties and having that affordable housing, it does give further opportunities for them to integrate, which is the ultimate goal. As you can see, there's a lot of families, parents that have children, brothers, sisters who have disabilities, and a lot of the time they do get isolated, which is unfair because based off of the current conversations that we've seen so far, they are just like us. So I just want to once again reiterate my approval for Mary Avenue properties.
Thank you, Audrey. Next up, we have, Mayor, we have just reached our 30 minutes, but we have 2 more requests to speak in person and 2 virtually.
Okay, so what's the total time for
6 minutes?
We'll continue.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm very honored to be here and get to speak to you this evening and to be amongst friends where we are all just one very strong community that comes together to really create something wonderful. I, too, like many here, am a longtime resident of the South Bay, and in fact, I have worked 40 years just down the street at Agilent Hewlett-Packard, so really have been around here for a long time. I am also a parent of an amazing son. I don't have him here with me because he is in his own home nearby and really thriving there. His name is Jeffrey. And I have a third hat I wear, which is I am the founder of a fairly new organization. It's a grassroots organization called Constellation Community Living, and our intention is to really build stronger community and inclusive community for individuals with developmental disabilities so that they can continue to live where they grew up. We don't want them all to have to move away because they bring so much to our community. So I'm here tonight really just to share from my perspective a success story, and I see some familiar faces who know my son. And 5 years ago when he was living at our house, it was really difficult. It was difficult for him, it was difficult for us, for his sister, for everyone. But since those 5 years have passed, he truly has transformed. He has a very strong sense of himself, of agency,
Thank you,
and
Lisa.
the housing will allow this to happen for many others. Thank you.
Thank you. That is your time. Next up, we have Luis Sadati. Welcome, Luis.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I think the call this evening is for the council to have a heart, to show that they have a heart. This project has been going on for 20 years. There's people in the audience here that have been working on this project for 20 long years. And it's so important for these individuals to be able to transition from living with their parents to be able to live independently. And it takes time and the opportunity. So if we continue studying and putting up different objections to study, the parents will die. And the kids, you don't want them institutionalized. You want them to have an opportunity to transition first to living independently while their parents are still alive, to help them with the process. I'm asking the council to please expedite this process, not study it further, not take on more objections. It's been 20 years.
Thank you, Luis. Next, we'll go to our request to speak virtually. We have 2 hands raised. There is no name. It's call-in user 1. Welcome, call-in user 1.
Hello, everybody. This is from the Huang family, and we need you guys help us. December 36th, 2021, when family went back to the place, all our property and the belonging taken away without notice. So we want you guys help us to do that, and it's been a long time. So no matter the flaws deserve to be, no one, no matter their flaws, deserve to be forgotten in the system and lost in the endless procedures, enduring punishment far beyond what justice requires. We are hardworking and straight, and never ask for holding accommodation. So, and we need an effective, high priority, this matter resolved ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Neil Park McClintock. Welcome, Neil.
Hello, Mayor Moore and members of the Cupertino City Council. My name is Neil and I'm from Cupertino. I went through every level of school in Cupertino, lived in Cupertino, and also worked several jobs in the city as well. I'm speaking tonight in support of the Mary Avenue Villas project. First, I just wanted to say it's such a beautiful display of community in the room tonight. Thank you to each speaker for being brave and sharing your experiences, as one speaker earlier eloquently put it, a window into your lives. This project represents the culmination of more than 15 years of housing advocacy in Cupertino and 5 years as part of the city's official work program. This current climate for building homes is exceptionally challenging and unpredictable, as everyone on the council knows, and never mind the additional challenges associated with building homes for those who have specific needs too. And so as a city council and as a community, we should be striving to make it easier to provide much needed homes, regardless of anyone's background or ability. Please support the Mary Avenue Villas project when it comes to a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Mayor, that concludes the request to speak under oral communications this evening.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. It may be that some members of the public are not interested in hearing the rest of the agenda. I think I think it might be appropriate if we take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 7:59. Thank you. Okay, thank you. It is 8:03. We are reconvening. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Next, we move on to consent. Have there been any items pulled from consent?
Madam Mayor, I have no intention of pulling anything from consent, but I would ask for a separate vote on item 6.
Certainly. Hearing that we have no request to remove any items from consent, Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments for the consent calendar?
Mayor, I'm not seeing any requests to speak in person at Community Hall, but I am seeing one hand raised virtually for Eleni
All right.
Mathakis. Apologies. Welcome, Eleni.
Oh, hi. I'm Eleni. I lived in Cupertino all my life. Is there still, can we still vote on the Mary Avenue, the apartments that are going to get built?
Pardon, no, this is regarding the consent calendar. Our oral communications has already concluded. However, this item, the Mary Avenue item, will be returning to us on
It's currently slated for February 3rd.
February 3rd.
Okay.
So you can speak then on the item. So we're looking for comments on the public comments regarding the consent calendar, items 3 through 14. So no further comments?
No further comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to move the consent calendar items 3 through 14 without item 6?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call vote? Or this will be with your lights.
I'd like to make a short comment.
Okay, please.
On item 7, thank for the deputy city manager duties. So thank you, city manager, for expanding that and consolidating with this assistant city manager position. I think that's a good decision, and congratulations to Kirsten. Yeah.
Nicely said, Vice Mayor. So we now vote with our lights.
The motion carries with Councilmember Wong absent.
Excellent. And now, Madam City Clerk, can we have a motion on, I believe we still need a motion on item 6 to vote on it separately?
Yes. It was pulled, so.
So I'll move to item 6. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. So, Councilmember Fruin, did you want to comment on item 6?
Simply that I don't see the virtue in expending this particular money for this specific vendor.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I have, so the $45,000 contract is for the 1-year extension. It's not, the whole amount is for the early, it include the earlier years. Just want to clarify that.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. So, Madam City Clerk, do you instruct us to vote with our lights or? Okay.
Yes,
So this,
if you.
Mayor.
Yes.
So the city manager will be looking into other options this year.
Yes, so if I can provide clarification on this item, we're just extending the existing lobbyist contract so we can do an RFP later this year, and wanted to bring forward the eligibility criteria for council to be aware of, because this is one of the contracts that council actually, should have some say in that, because the lobbyist works directly with council and staff. So this is just extending it for a few months so we can do the RFP later in the year.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the table. You guys are welcome to vote with your lights. The The motion carries with Councilmember Fruin voting no and Councilmember Wong absent.
All right, thank you. Next, we move on to public hearings, and we will begin with item 15. The subject is consideration of a new residential development of 57 townhomes. That's Dividend Homes 1, including 11 affordable units to replace 2 office buildings on a 2.6-acre site located close to the northeast corner of the intersection of Stevens Creek Boulevard and Randy Lane. Madam City Manager, would you like to make a comment on this item?
Thank you, Mayor. As I introduce this item, so for council consideration today is a 2-phase townhome redevelopment proposed by Dividend Homes along Stevens Creek Boulevard. So these are items 15 and 16 on the agenda. We will hear it one at a time. The project together replaces existing office and commercial buildings with for-sale townhomes, and a portion of that is affordable units. So for item 15, which is the first phase, it's 57 townhomes, 11 affordable units. And with that, I would like to introduce the staff team that will be presenting this.
Just provide 1 second. Thank you. So I'm now opening the public hearing. First, have there been any ex parte communications by the council members? Since I have my mic open, I met with the developer on Teams yesterday. And would anyone else like to speak on the matter? Council member Mohan?
Yes, I met with the developer a few days ago as well.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I'm so sorry I didn't respond to the email for a meeting. I usually do meet with everyone. So I'm sorry about that.
And Councilmember Fruin? Okay. Thank you very much. Madam City Manager?
Thank you. Yes, that was my introduction of the item, and I will turn it over to John Martier, Senior Planner, and Luke Connolly, Assistant Director of Community Development, for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Good evening, Mayor, and Vice Mayor, and the Council, and the Cupertino Public at Large. John Martier, Senior Planner, Community Development Department. I'm here to speak briefly on not just this item, but also the next item as well. So again, as introduced by the Mayor and City Manager, this is Phase 1 of the Dividend Home Project, located at 20085 and 20111 Stevens Creek Boulevard. And again, the phases just indicate when the application came in, not necessarily when the project will be built. Just want to make that clarification. Thank you. Okay, and so as described, this is 57 townhome development on approximately 2.6 acre site, located close to the northeast corner of the intersection of Stevens Creek Boulevard and Randy Lane. Of those 57 townhomes, 11 will be affordable. As you can see right here is a satellite view of the project site that we were discussing, with the phase 2 portion identified to the east of the project site. Again, the 2.65 acre site spans across 2 adjacent parcels. On the 20111 Stevens Creek site, you have a 26,000 square foot office building with a daycare center, and on the 20085 site, you have a 13,000 square foot office building. And both sites are within the heart of the city specific plan. A little bit of background onto the zoning of this. 20111 Stevens Creek Boulevard was part of the, was zoned in July 2024 as a housing element site. So R4, while the 20085 is within the heart of the city specific plan with 25 dwelling units an acre. With the housing element site, the R4 is between 50 and 65 dwelling units an acre. The applicant did submit a SB 330 application June 2024, locking the lower density for both sites at 25 dwelling units an acre, as well as any other objective standards that come with that. And by December 19th, 2024, development application was submitted to the city. So of the, again, of the 57 townhomes projected on the site, 11 will be BMR, 6 with median income, which is 100 to 120% AMI, average median income for Santa Clara County, and 5 moderate, which is about 80 to 100% AMI. And what you see to there on your right is a conceptual site plan. The resulting density is actually below the 25 per the heart of the city at 21.5 dwelling units an acre. The 57 townhome units will be condominiums within 10 three-story buildings ranging from anywhere from 2,136 to 2,656 square feet, and that square footage is inclusive of garage space. And as this project has more than 5 net new units, it does qualify for density bonus. So the applicant is asking for numerous waivers as well as a single concession. The first is building bulk. So there's what's required is a 1-to-1 slope line along Stevens Creek Boulevard, which those front buildings would interfere with. 6 of the buildings would go above the 45-foot height limit. The front setback is required to be 35 feet from the curb line, and they're proposing 26 feet. And again, the side rear setbacks are reduced as indicated on the slide, as well as the building form that's required to be terraced if adjacent to single-family neighborhoods. Lot coverage is required to be 40%, proposed is 41.2. As well as a parking stall size, which is slightly smaller within the shared shared parking spaces, as well as allowing for tandem spaces within certain townhomes. As at the time of the submission of the SB 330, the tandem spaces, the townhomes were required not to have tandem spaces, so tandem spaces are an exception to the waiver. I'm sorry, to the building standards. And common open space, none are proposed, although 8,550 would be required outside of the setbacks. The one concession is that the elimination of the retail requirement. Parking reduction. As you can see, density bonus law allows for a parking reduction by right. And so what we have over here is a requirement for 103 spaces. And what the applicant is providing is 2 enclosed spaces per unit plus 12 additional spaces that are unenclosed, or 126 spaces. So they're providing 23 more spaces than what would normally be required for a development like this. Here is the design of the photo rendering of the design along Stevens Creek Boulevard. I will let the applicant go further into the design of the project as well as the overall programming. The Planning Commission heard this item on December 9th of last year. They recommended the council approve the proposed project on a 4-1 vote. One modification to the application was that they would reduce the 4 units that are abutting the Wheaton Drive to 2 floors, while also considering including hedges along the back and considering additional trellising on the fences along the back wall for added privacy. The environmental review. This will be the first project that comes before the council that's using Assembly Bill 130, which was signed into law on June 30th, 2025, and codified around that time as well. And what this law does is exempt a qualifying housing development project from secret review, creating a new statutory exemption. We do have Placeworks, who is our consultant on this, that they're online right now, and they can probably walk you through what AB 130 is in terms of the timelines and how this project qualifies for this statutory exemption. The proposed project does meet the criteria of the statutory exemption, and one of the actions that the council will have to make is that this does qualify for it as well. And the project is also conditioned to comply with the environmental standards as adopted by the city pursuant to Chapter 1704 of the Municipal Code. The recommended action is the council adopt the proposed draft resolutions to find the project exempt from CEQA and approve the following permits as listed below, as well as in your staff report. And the next step is the City Council decision will be final unless a request for reconsideration petition is filed in compliance with the Municipal Code 2.08.096 within 10 days of the decision. If the project is approved, the applicant may apply for building permits at that time. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, John. Now we will have council clarifying questions, and just so that we know what the process is like. After that, we will have an up to 8-minute presentation from the applicant, and then we'll have another opportunity for council clarifying questions to staff or the applicant at that time. So do I have any council clarifying questions? Vice Mayor.
So just to clarify, in the recommended action, does that include the Planning Commission's recommendation to reduce the height of the 4 units abutting Wheaton Drive, and including hedge, and consider additional trellis on the fence for the adjoining single-family homes?
That's correct. Yes, the Planning Commission's recommendation is what staff brought to the council.
It's already included in the...
Correct. And it's actually included as a condition of approval in the architectural site approval resolution.
Okay, great. Thank you for accommodating that. Yeah.
Councilmember Fruin?
Just wanted to walk through a little bit of what the alternatives look like here. In the staff report, you note that the permissible maximum density was up to 25 dwelling units per acre, but that's really only an artifact of the past and is available to this applicant by virtue of having brought an application while that was still the zoning, correct?
Yes, they submitted an SB 330 during that time.
Right, which locked in those standards at the time.
That's correct.
Okay, so were someone to come to you now with an application, including this applicant, they'd be bound by the current zoning on the site, which is a minimum density of 50 dwelling units per acre, yes?
For the western parcel, that's
yes. Correct. Okay, all right. Very good. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Page, I believe it's 2 of the staff report covers that topic. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Sorry, one more question. So one of the planning commissioner voted no. I just would like to know what was the concern.
I'll try to answer that. There were a number of topics discussed, but there was no clear reason given for the no vote by the commissioner who voted no.
Oh, so what other concerns were raised by the planning commission?
There was generally a lot of support for the project. There were issues raised about, say, tandem parking being used in this project. I don't remember any real distinct objection, though. There was also discussion about one of the 4 parcels being a housing element site, and that we're actually losing the number of units expected by the housing element, but I can't really say for sure what the reason was.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about no net loss and what the impact of this project is going to be.
I can just scroll down to the table for this, but this project is having a no net loss impact. Okay, thank you, on moderate income housing. So, and just for people who are no net loss is really looking at the 3 income categories broadly you have in your housing element: low, moderate, and market rate. The city has a huge surplus in market rate housing, over 1,000 RENA units, but in both low and moderate, we were very close. We had a previous townhome project that put us slightly under, I believe 2 units under in the moderate category. The approval of this project would sort of add to that and put us 9 under, which, again, for owner-occupied projects, it generally will have an impact on moderate income, because that is what our BMR manual requires, is the provision of moderate income units, not low. And just
Pardon, could you repeat that last sentence?
for owner-occupied housing like townhomes, the BMR requirements the city has is in the moderate income category, not the low income category. That would apply to rental projects. So let me just see. For instance, on this, I think we were expecting 18 moderate income units out of an anticipated total of 110 for just the one site. And I believe the 4 properties between the 2 projects tonight have a total of 89.
And what leverage do we have in getting those units?
Getting the total units or
The moderate units, and encouraging a developer to provide those, anything?
all we would have is encouraging. We would not be able to require it because I think, as John had said, this was under SB 330, so it's locked into the lower density standards that were in place on the housing element site.
Okay. I did have a question about the Class 4 protected bike lanes, and thank you for providing an opportunity to go over this project prior to this meeting. So does the developer need to provide a contribution towards that?
Yeah, so Public Works conditioned this project as each of the phases has to contribute about $75,000 for those bike lane improvements.
Okay, and could you repeat that amount?
So $75,000 per project, so $150,000 combined.
Okay, thank you. And I believe they are going to be providing the art on site. Okay. Yes. All right. I just want to comment that for my written communications, I put a compilation. I don't know if you saw it. I put a compilation of the art that I had showed previously, and I'm hoping that there can be some connection possibly between this developer and the Staples one, because they had gone through a lot of research about different artists. Vice Mayor, your hand's raised.
Yeah, thank you. So just to follow up on what Mayor raised about the moderate income units, so I think I do want to explore how we might have less net loss for this kind of units. So some of the projects provide ADUs for some of the units. Would the ADUs give us more moderate income units? Would that, or would just make some suggestions so that a future developer could consider, so they might provide more moderate income?
ADUs could provide either low or moderate income. I think it's the standard that had been being used, I think, was like 30% low, 30% moderate, and then like a 10% market rate. So you do get credit for ADUs as being seen as a affordable by design type of housing. But one of the issues, and I don't want to get solely onto no net loss and off the project, is the city's requirements for low and moderate income exceed 50%. And our BMR requirements are either 15 or 20% for typical projects. So while developers are typically meeting those, it does mean each time you approve a project, you create a deficit in that income category. Even if they were giving you the total units, it's unlikely.
Even if there are more ADUs.
Yeah, ADUs could help, but I
yeah.
don't know that they could offset the percentage
So,
difference.
Unless we increase the percentage, we might have a big lose every time.
Correct. And one of the things with the no net loss is it has to be reflected in your housing element. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So my understanding is with if they offer an ADU together with a unit, for the owner who purchased the unit, they can use the ADU to count as income, and then therefore they could it's easier for them to qualify for a loan, right? So that's also economically making the unit more affordable to future owners. Is that true? That's what I heard.
I don't really know from an HCD perspective, and that's really who will be judging what is affordable. typically the clear answer is what's affordable is something that has a deed restriction to ensure
Oh,
that it
I
is
mean, not that
affordable.
affordable, but just more affordable. More, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think there clearly is a prevailing view that ADUs are affordable.
So are the planners, when talking to future applicants, are we encouraging them to include more ADUs with this kind of project?
I think we
especially
encourage,
townhomes.
Yeah, we encourage ADUs pretty much. I think the state does, and their ministerial approvals that I think most
no,
cities.
I mean together with a multi-family townhome project.
Sure, I think we'd like to see as many units as we can get, particularly when it's a housing element site that's developing.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councilmember Mohan.
Thank you. I had a quick question for staff regarding the no net loss issue. I know that you have to somehow make up the difference or identify a solution for the net loss that we will be experiencing. So what is the 180 days? Is it from today?
It's 180 days from when you first approve a project that brought in that deficit. So I believe it was the previous townhome project that Toll Brothers had on the United Furniture site.
Oh, which was
when that
net
first
two units.
Correct. So yeah, when the decision would have been final on that, that's when the 180 days would have been. So it's begun.
I see. So we'll expect to see a report before the 180 days, or how is this
I'm quite
gonna
sure
work?
you do.
Is it 180 days to be sent back to them and get it approved, or how does this whole process work?
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty new process. I think a lot of cities will be going through this. While the law has existed, it's become more of a concern now because the RENA went up significantly and the proportion of affordable units also went up significantly. My sense is 180 days is probably an overly tight timeline because this will be a fairly involved process. What I think is critical is to acknowledge that this has occurred and to begin correcting it. So I'm fully expecting that we'll be having a lot of discussions about this. It's fairly similar to what you went through in the housing element itself, with just a focus on sites.
Okay, it's going to be quite a challenge from everything I can tell. Thank you.
Quick question, Luke. If we approved nothing, would we have to do any of that work?
One of the difficulties is you can't use no net loss as a reason to not approve a housing project.
But had none of these projects come forward?
Yes, if your question is to keep your housing element intact and not have a no net loss issue, it would be easier to do that if you had no development coming in, because then your housing element would remain as it was when it was certified. So yes, your housing element is essentially a forecast and an estimate, and when you get real projects, you're always adjusting what the forecast was versus what's real as of that date.
Okay, and just to remind the public, what housing laws were used for this project and the prior project, which put us in this situation?
Generally, SB 330, which created the preliminary application process to lock in standards at the point in time the application is submitted, and state density bonus law, which I think are very typical on these types of multifamily projects.
Was that used for the Schofield project?
The Schofield project was a builder's remedy project, which at the time that was submitted, we did not have a certified housing element. So the builder's remedy is essentially submit whatever you want, wherever you want, because your housing element is not certified. So it was different from these.
Okay.
Their SB 330 projects can be builder's remedy projects. They're just not always builder's remedy projects.
Okay. So we have situations where the density was much lower than what we were asking for, and then we have situations where it's much higher. And does across the street, does the Valco project help us in any way?
Valco always helped us on our housing element because it had a significant amount of approved housing units. I believe HCD gave us credit for 2/3 of the total project. The issue with a project like that is it was seen as a pipeline project, so it had a significant amount of low-income units, and if the low-income units on that were to be reduced, that again creates a no net loss issue in the low-income category.
Okay, I'll ask you some more about that offline because they did reduce that. Okay. So we just had a Councilmember Mohan?
Sorry, no, I'm done.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Fruin. Councilmember Fruin?
Yeah, I just wanted to note, I did raise this as part of the TPD process a few months ago since we anticipated that this would be happening, and council, I think, rather prudently moved forward with that. So my question mostly to the city manager is when should we be expecting to see this back so that we can start addressing the problem? I know we're all concerned about how we got here, but I think solving the problem is probably where our minds should be.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember. We are working on an informational memo to council as a first step, so that should be coming by the end of this month. And then I will be working with the mayor to agendize a discussion for council to take a deep dive in this topic.
Thank you, and I am curious what the Finch project could possibly do, since I think that's around 8 stories, and they are really using the density bonus law on that site. Okay, I'm not seeing any further clarifying questions. Madam City Manager, is there an applicant presentation?
Yes. I think there's an oral comment by the applicant.
Okay, so you're allocated 8 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Josh Ferotsos. I'm the Vice President of Development at Dividend Homes. We're a private home builder founded in 1994, specializing in single-family homes and townhomes throughout the core Bay Area, with active or upcoming projects in 8 cities, totaling more than 550 new homes. Of those 550 new homes, 233 of them will be built within the city of Cupertino. We value the opportunity to develop for-sale housing in this great city and look forward to being a long-term partner in meeting the city's goals of providing housing to its residents. We're pleased to be here tonight to present 2 new for-sale townhome communities. These homes will range from 1,550 square feet to 2,150 square feet, offering 3 and 4 bedroom floor plans, each with 2 private parking spaces, either side by side or tandem. Each home will also include a private rooftop deck or a private yard for future homeowners. As part of our commitment to supporting local infrastructure, the project will contribute approximately $150,000 towards the Stevens Street bike lane. Our plans include 2 phases. Phase 1, a little bit out of order from how it's presented, is 32 townhomes anticipated to break ground in the summer of 2026. Phase 2, 57 townhomes anticipated to break ground in 2027-2028. In total, 20% of the units will be reserved as affordable, fully meeting the city's below market rate requirements. The project is protected by is being processed under SB 330, the Housing Accountability Act, and is covered by state density bonus law. Our land use attorney, Brian Wenter, is attending the meeting remotely tonight, and he will be speaking in a few minutes to discuss the state housing law that protects R2 applications. After holding a community meeting, as well as meeting with neighboring property owners, Dividend has agreed to modify the project in the following ways. First, we modified the end units along the rear property line to 2-story homes from 3-story homes. In addition, those units will not have rooftop access. This provides for a feathering of density from single-family detached to 2-story to 3-story homes. We're also adding a 2-foot privacy lattice along the rear property line. There's an existing 6-foot sound wall on the rear line. This will create 8 foot tall total fence line, and it's at the request of the neighbors. Lastly, the neighbors requested that we look at planting trees in the private yards that only the units that abut the rear property line have, and we're open to and happy to plant a tree in each of those private yards of those homeowners, so it'll provide screening for the buildings in the future. We greatly appreciate the efforts of city staff and the collaborative process that has guided these proposals. Both projects were approved by Planning Commission with a 4-1 and 5-0 vote. We are confident that these communities will deliver a high-quality living experience for the future residents of Cupertino, and we are proud to be contributing to the city's long-term goal of providing housing for its residents. Joining me this evening are MJ Frankel and Elisa Pedicini of Dividend Homes, along with Rita Raj and Sanjana from the Dahling Group. Next, I'm going to pass it to Brian Wenter, who will join remotely to discuss our project in housing law. And after Brian, Rita Raj from Dahling will give you an overview of the architecture of the project as well as the site planning. We thank you for your time and we appreciate your support.
Do you have other speakers? Your time is running.
Well, yeah, Brian's remote. He's a remote login. Brian Wenter.
Brian, I think you can speak. I don't think you're
Okay,
muted
no,
at this time. Welcome.
Sorry, thank you. I couldn't tell from my end, but good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for your time. I'll be brief, and I'm happy to answer more questions after what I say here briefly. But I wanted to explain briefly the setup of the project under applicable state housing laws, which the applicant, my client, has used and has a right to use, as you've heard already. And I want to also thank Jean Martir for his excellent work in connection with the processing of this project. But as a housing development project under the HAA, the Housing Accountability Act, and this is meant to be helpful to you all. That statute, in my view, is the preeminent state housing production law we have in California, and it establishes the rules under which a project such as this must be substantively considered, and it significantly narrows the ability of an agency to disapprove a project. In essence, a project can only be disapproved lawfully if there is a written standard in effect as of the date the project application is deemed complete, against which the agency can analyze the project and confirm based on a preponderance of the evidence in the record, not substantial evidence, but a preponderance. Preponderance is means it's more likely than not. Substantial evidence means there's enough evidence to support the conclusion, but a preponderance means that it's more likely than not that the conclusion is true. So a written standard in effect as of the date the application is deemed complete, against which there is a preponderance of evidence in the record to conclude that the project would have a significant, direct, quantifiable, and unavoidable impact. And the only way for that impact to be avoided is to either disapprove the project or require that it be built at a lower density. Those findings, in my 25-year career, I've never seen a situation where those findings can be made. The legislature has also confirmed in another subpart of the HAA that the health and safety findings that I just articulated are things that, in their view, would arise infrequently. Not in connection with small projects, 50, 30 unit projects such as this. I don't think there's any evidence in the record, much less a preponderance of the evidence, nor is there any indication that there's a standard that would allow the analysis of these projects to conclude that there would be a specific adverse impact on public health and safety. So I would respectfully encourage you to approve, I'm going to say these projects, this project, these projects. I think that's what the law compels, and that's the action that must occur in order for the city to comply with the law. I'm happy to answer any other questions. I'm happy to talk about SB 330 overall and the density bonus law, but I thought that was the key part to cover tonight. And with that, I'll submit, and again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brian.
Madam Mayor, council members, and I think I'll go a little fast because I think we kind of short in time. Slide up. Yeah, next slide.
we get the slides just, there we go.
Okay, thanks. We can move on to the site plan. Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, and this is a small site, I think staff's already done a wonderful description on how the density and all that was achieved. I'm going to talk more on the design focus. The buildings are placed on the site, as you can look at it. The east-west buildings along Stevens Creek, they're kind of aligned to be fronting onto Stevens Creek. They match with the kind of like slightly more commercial tune. And as we move to the back, as we are conscientious and kind of like understanding that there were single-family neighbors and the density moved down, so the buildings are oriented in a different direction, 90 degrees, so that you have less windows or privacy looking down into those units at the back. So in some ways, if you'd kind of had the units back to back, you'd have all the units looking down into the single-family home. So it was a conscientious decision. Next one. Similarly, in terms of circulation, it does tie in with the other project, which you'll see later, but we had a centralized street system where you kind of have the central vehicular entry. The garages are hidden behind, so you don't have the vehicular garages visible for the entry, and you have a centralized parking system too, as in where the guest would come in and kind of walk to the different units, so you're not driving around.
Madam City Clerk, would you please provide one more minute due to the interruptions?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay. One more minute, if you'd like to proceed.
Yeah, let's move to the architectural. Yeah, and I think as you can see, the architecture, it's much more square-shouldered. It's kind of a transition into more on the contemporary side and more on the commercial character because it's fronting on Stevens Creek. And, the materials kind of wrap around the building, so it's not just like the materials and the colors front onto the front of the building. And could you go to the last couple of slides? Back. And I just wanted to show you something. Yes. So as you can see on this, the top building that you see is the 3-story building that was presented at the Planning Commission. And the building at the bottom is the 2-story proposed end. And the unit, as Josh kind of mentioned it in the meeting, in his presentation, the 2-story unit also does not have a roof deck. The other units have roof decks, so you don't look down into the adjoining property. Next slide. And here, this is just isometric, as we can see, as like the comparison of the two buildings before and after. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we go to council clarifying questions to either the staff or the applicant. Does anyone have any further questions? Vice Mayor?
So thank you for the presentation, and thank you for showing the two-story units, and thank you for the accommodation. And thank you for providing extra parking space, which we need. Although there is no, I think, shared public space, but it's okay. My question is regarding the fiscal analysis. Let me share. Okay. I did not find a peer assessment for the fiscal analysis, so I am assuming this is the one submitted by the applicant.
The one that was attached to the staff report is actually a peer analysis.
This is a peer analysis.
Yeah, so the applicant submitted one from Kaiser Marston, and so what has been happening with our consultants that they've basically taken the applicant's analysis and looked at the methodologies and then actually applied their own methodologies towards the actual site and whatnot. And so their peer review is actually very thorough, more thorough than most other peer reviews would be. So, which is, I think it works in the city's benefit in terms of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think in general, the understanding has been that office space generate more revenue for the city, which is the reason why San Francisco and Palo Alto, these other cities have prioritized in building office because they want to generate revenue. And based on the table in this fiscal analysis, it seems to suggest the revenue generation for office development is 1/10, less than 1/10 of residential development.
Mm-hmm.
So I am totally surprised. What is the basis of for example, the sales tax is only 4,500. But the sales tax for residential is 24,000. So it doesn't seem to align with general understanding.
Sure, and I believe that, again, I'm not the expert on the fiscal analysis. I think it's more of an exercise that the city requires us an actual basis on approving or denying. But my understanding from the peer review is that the amount of people that will be living within these new developments would outweigh the number of employees that would be working currently at the office spaces. So they base it upon what they anticipate to be spending locally and whatnot. So I understood.
So you mean the sales tax generated by of the businesses buying product or selling product are not taken into consideration in this analysis?
The assumption that there's no products for sale in these offices, rather that are taxable for sales, that would generate sales tax. It's basically employees that are working there. That's my understanding how the analysis was concluded.
I understand that there is concession to remove all the retail. There is nothing we can do there, but I think it's important as a city that we understand honestly what exactly we are losing with every commercial site that we lose to housing. It's unavoidable, but then we do need to understand the actual fiscal impact. But from the fiscal impact analysis, I kind of feel that's not really an accurate analysis. And so that's the opinion of the peer review, that they assume the businesses located there do not generate any revenue for the city. Okay. And okay, so I guess, and then also that it's assuming that public recs expenditure. Okay, yeah, never mind. Thank you.
Councilmember Fruin?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. Currently, the build out of the site is a commercial office building, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Because there's a number of offices that either are or have been there that are well known to, I think, most people, including the local district office of our member of the assembly. When I was practicing workers' compensation, there were a number of other attorneys who had their offices in this building. These are not people who are selling goods to anyone. They're selling services. Even our own code is going to regulate what sorts of things you can do in this type of commercial office, because we distinguish between commercial office and commercial retail, and sometimes even within that in certain areas of the city as to what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if you're just providing services in a commercial office setting, which is not designed around interfacing with the public to sell merchandise, then clearly it's not going to be a sales tax generating space, other than by virtue of the people who are working in that site.
That's correct. I mean, the assumption of this peer review, from my understanding, is that the people that are working, you're basing your sales tax revenue of those who are working there, rather than anything sold on site.
Yeah, and as an older commercial office building, this was not subject to our current heart of the city specific plan that requires this, ground floor retail.
That's correct.
Yeah, so the concession that's being taken against ground floor retail is a prospective thing, not something that is currently existing on the site.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. We're replacing an office building here if this is approved, not, a strip mall.
Thank you. Councilmember Mohan, followed by Vice Mayor.
I wanted to follow up on the fiscal impact chart that you had, and I had this question for staff this morning about the sales tax, and my understanding is that the sales tax figure is a projection or an estimate based on how much spending someone who lives in a resident or a resident of this unit would be spending. So it's sort of a little far-fetched, but I did read the peer review, and there's some basis for how to calculate the sales tax based on the residents of this building. Am I understanding it right?
That's correct. It is a projection of what they would believe a resident would be spending, and then calculating about how much of that spending would be within the city limits, and contributing towards the general fund.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. My understanding is a large portion of our sales tax is B2B tax. So do we know what's the percentage of that? Because a business, even a service business, they have to purchase equipment, software, office things. Therefore, or even software product, they generate B2B sales tax. And that's not considered in this kind of fiscal analysis, which I think is a significant portion of our sales tax. It's not just retail, right?
Yeah, I'm not able to answer that question. That's not my
So I
understanding.
would encourage the staff to look deeper into the fiscal analysis and encourage the consultant to look deeper in future peer review so we get a better picture of the fiscal impact to us. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any further clarifying questions at this time. So now we're going to go to public comments. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
Yes, Mayor, we have 7 requests to speak in person, and currently we have 1 hand raised virtually, so about 24 minutes.
Okay, let's begin.
So first up, we have Todd McNair, followed by Whitney McNair, followed by Patty Hamaguchi. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you very much, Council. My name is Todd McNair. I reside and a homeowner at 20074 Wheaton Drive. I'll be honest, I wasn't planning on speaking today. And the reason for that, to be honest, was just sort of the general sourness of the Planning Commission experience that I had. And the general sense of futility that a resident has in this sort type of forum. And the initial part of public comments, staff member leaned his seat back and stared at the ceiling in a general gesture of dismissiveness. The Planning Commission referenced the project that you've also referenced, the Staples development project. And reference it in terms of success, a success story. But it seemed to be fail to come up that part of that success story was residents stood here and said, they didn't appreciate the setback of 10 feet that was then extended to 33 feet. And I'm here to ask you basically to take a moment to ask yourselves what you would do in my situation as a homeowner that's going to be impacted by this development project. I fully acknowledge and respect the conditions that they put on the development to lower the building structure that abuts Wheaton Drive. I appreciate the willingness to put in the terraced, the fencing. But what I'm really here to ask for is the setback. The Staples project, as you've referenced today, even went from 10 feet to 33 feet as a direct result of community input. We're asking for a similar increase in setback, 14 feet. That is less distance than I am to you. And I just think it's reasonable. And our requests are reasonable to increase that setback to 20 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet. It's certainly reasonable. And if we can't count on reasonable requests. I don't know what you guys are going to be up against when the entire Stevens Creek corridor is going to be basically developed in similar projects, and you're going to have impacts up and down the city. So again, I'm asking that you put yourself in my shoes, vote with your conscience, and if not, advocate for your residents and your constituents that voted for you, but at least encourage that change. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Next up, we have Whitney McNair, followed by Patty Hamaguchi, followed by Lisa Lee. Just a reminder to members of the public wishing to speak on this item should submit a request to speak or raise their hand virtually within the first 9 minutes, and we are down to 6 minutes. So welcome, Whitney.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. My name's Whitney McNair. I'm a longstanding homeowner residing on Wheaton Drive for nearly 25 years. I represent a number of longtime homeowners on Wheaton Drive, Meyer Place, and Carroll Lee Drive, many of whom came to the Planning Commission, and some of whom are here tonight. We have one main ask of the council is to increase the setback along the rear property line. It's currently proposed at 13 feet, and increase it to something which is along the lines of 20 feet. 20 feet's a standard setback in any residential project that in Cupertino would have to meet. It's the minimum setback identified in the heart of the city's specific plan, and it's significantly less than the required 64 to 68 feet. The developer, if they're really interested in creating a quality development in Cupertino and being a long-term developer here, they really should be designing this edge condition with more care. The Planning Commission referenced the success of the recently approved Summer Hill Homes project on Stevens Creek at the Staples site. And as Todd mentioned, after hearing neighbors' concerns, the developer there modified the design and increased that setback where the project abuts single-family homes. It was originally 10 feet. They changed the design of the project to 33 feet and added a dense row of screen trees along the property line. The applicant has a project in Palo Alto with the same design they're proposing here and neighborhood context. And here the developer has a 20-foot setback with a row of screen trees planted every 15 feet along the shared property line with the existing single-family homes. Our secondary ask is to require a row of trees planted, not just one, but along the rear property line every 15 feet to help screen the project. This really shouldn't even be up for debate. That's a pretty standard condition, and it doesn't have any impacts on the project. In summary, we're asking for the council to increase the setback and add screen trees. Other developers have made these changes to their projects. This developer has accepted and incorporated these same conditions in their project in Palo Alto, so I know they're feasible. I hope the Cupertino Council takes pride in the design of their projects within its city and hold the same, if not greater, regard for its citizens and require these modest changes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Whitney. Next up, we have Patty Hamaguchi, followed by Lisa Lee, followed by Jerry Sue. Welcome, Patty.
Hello. I'm the owner of Bright Stars Pediatric Speech Therapy, which has been in Cupertino for 28 years. It's located at 20111 Stevens Creek since 2008. We work with children, many of whom struggle with significant disabilities such as autism or Down syndrome. I currently employ 22 people. I've always paid my lease early every month. I took out a loan for $170,000 during the pandemic to make sure not one payment was late, because my word means something when I negotiate with someone. So in 2023, I invested over $100,000 in an update and expansion to my office. I put in soundproofing. I had two-way mirrors and windows put in so parents could observe. And in order to protect my investment, I thought I was being proactive by making sure that I signed an extension to my existing lease. It guaranteed that I could stay there till the end of February 2028 with an option and guaranteed renewal to the end of February 2031. So imagine my surprise and disappointment in December 2024 to find out this building that I had just spent all this time and money and energy renovating was going to be torn down. The building management asked that we vacate early out of our lease in order to accommodate this project. So at this time, I have not yet been offered a reasonable settlement for the cost, the hassle it will require to relocate, the rebuilding, the complete reconstruction of a very custom office that we have, as well as the loss of income during that process. So we're currently at a stalemate. So I have played by the rules. I've honored my contract. I've been a conscientious business owner in Cupertino since 1996. So I would ask you, council members, should you approve this project, what happens to a business like mine that is going to be displaced by this project? Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next up, we have Lisa Lee, followed by Jerry Sue, followed by Sandy Cerrone. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lee. My family bought and has lived in our house on Wheaton Drive since 1974. There was a gentleman here earlier holding a sign asking for fair housing. And the developer actually talked about high-quality housing, and that's what I'm here asking for. I'm a proponent of building additional housing, even if it's in my backyard, which it literally would be. Like, I'm fine with that, but I believe that the housing should be fair and high quality for all, including the current residents. A development that violates the city's heart of Cupertino's heart of the city policies, most notably the setback, is not fair. The development that you're voting on puts a 2 to 3 story complex less than the distance from me to you from my property line. Those are buildings as tall as the inside of this building, that distance away. There are fair solutions that can be worked out here. For example, more joint walls means more space around the buildings, moving the existing green and open space to the joint property line. So please facilitate a compromise that creates fair and high-quality housing for all. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. Next up, we have Jerry Sue, followed by Sandy Cerrone, followed by Tracy Kososharon. And I do have one speaker card with no name on it, which would be last.
Thanks.
So welcome, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks for everyone. My name is Jerry Su. My family have been living here in Cupertino on the Vision Drive since 1998 for 28 years. There are a lot of concerns, but right now I have only talked the most important and serious one for the setback. It's too close to our backyard. And as far as I remember, it's 23 for the front and 13 for the rear. And I saw the presentation today's meeting is 26 for front and 14 feet for the rear. It's kind of a very badly balanced. So I'm looking around in our neighbor, and here is an apartment at the corner of Bellany and Stevens Creek. So I measured it from the wall to the city line is 19 feet. That's the first one. And the second one is at 85 and called Morro Bay Terrace. So from the building here to the city line.
Would you like to use the projector?
Is 18 feet.
Oh, no.
Is 18 feet. And also on the same compass for the big building, also there's a stream and creek here. the measurement there is 21. So none of them will be reached 23 or 28. But for our backyard, my measurement for the green landscaping is 15 feet right now. So if it's 13, even cut 2 feet there, raise a 2-story building there. It's too close. So I think make it balanced and fair. The developer could cut a little bit for the front and shift it to the rear. The first way you can change that. And the second, I noticed on the design map, if the proportion is correct, there is a green landscaping there. The width will be about double the size of the rear setback. So consider here the 13, there will be 20 or more, 23, 25, something there. So they can shift a portion or remove it from the middle of the campus to the rear. So it doesn't need any change for the building, but just shift this area to the rear and can raise the setback for the back. So that's another way can consider. And another way, there is a public parking here. So also on this one, give me 1 minute. There's another one.
Thank you, Jerry. That is your time.
Okay. But anyway, I would appreciate very much if you can make some change before approve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next up, we have Sandy Cerrone, followed by Tracy Kososhalone. And we have a speaker card filled out with no name on it. Welcome, Sandy.
My name is Sandy Siren, and I live at 20064 Wheaton Drive. And do you realize in approximately a 4-city block area that it's Blaney, Forest Avenue, Randy Lane, and Stevens Creek, there are 3 schools, a junior high, a grade school, and a preschool. So in the morning, when the kids go to school, and in the afternoons when they're being picked up, there are cars that are lining up on both directions on Blaney, blocking driveways, intersections, everything on Forest Avenue, so people can't even get out of their driveway to leave. And it's very hard to get out of our neighborhood. We live on Wheaton Drive to get out onto Blaney during those hours. So basically, there's 2 to 3 hours a day when it's hard to get out of our neighborhood. So in that same 4-block area, out the Stevens Creek side, they plan to put those 2 projects. One is 57 units, 132, which is a total of 89. So let's say there are 2 drivers in each home. And that's being very generous because I do have a fellow on my street that has 4 to 6 cars of his own. So that would be 178 drivers and probably 178 plus cars. And all of these would be spilling out onto Blaney, Randy Lane, and Stevens Creek all day long, in and out, in and out, in and out. That's much different than an office building where they come in the morning and they leave at night and it's very quiet. So the kids also walk from Stevens Creek to those schools and come from Homestead to our area to go to school. And drivers will come from Homestead and they will try to turn into the school, and they are afraid the person coming from this direction will get in front of them, so they totally block the intersection. So that is why the entire street, and that's right now. That's before all of this development takes place, and maybe possibly 200 more cars, and all these people are coming to school and walking and going to this school in our area. So they basically said that these cars stop on Blaney, these kids are walking. This is definitely a health and safety issue for these kids.
Thank you, Sandy. That is your time. Next up, we have Tracy Kozosharon, followed by a no-name speaker card. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Tracy Kasolshran. I'm currently the vice chair of the Planning Commission, and I am speaking on behalf of myself tonight. We did have an in-depth discussion to understand how this project could accommodate more of the community requests during our meeting. I actually went through the entire list of community asks with the developer, increasing the setback, increasing number of trees. At that time, these things were not desirable to Dividend Homes, although it does sound like the trees are under consideration now, which is great. I did want to clarify for the public record that the Staples development was mentioned in the Planning Commission meeting, but I'm not sure it was intended to be singled out as a success story by the entire commission. The Staples development was different in the sense that it did have a much larger rear setback, but those were 3-story buildings. And so it's just a different project and not exactly comparable to this one. And that developer did not reduce them to 2 stories adjacent to the neighbors. It also does sound like the additional trellising is under consideration, so I appreciate that from the developer. And we did appreciate Dividend Homes for making the effort to incorporate the very extensive community feedback, especially the reduction in rear units to 2 floors, as well as the additional trellising, which sounds like it is also being considered. So also thank you to staff for including the Planning Commission recommendation in your staff report. I did also want to note when it comes to the peer review and being able to quantify the value of the businesses that are here, I do think that there is somewhat of an intangible value to some of them, maybe not defined explicitly as retail, but the daycare center, which is a bilingual preschool, it is part of a chain, and they have locations in many different cities, and Cupertino is one of their cities, and it serves the local families. So while it's not generating sales tax necessarily, it does actually, it is a hub for the community. And once it leaves, I imagine those families will either disperse to the other locations in other cities or they have to find somewhere else. So there is kind of that intangible value. And then, of course, you did hear from the other business that was there. So I think we have some noticing challenges with the businesses. The residents appear to have been noticed, but for some reason the businesses were left a little bit out of the loop. And so there is an opportunity for improvement there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there a member of the public that, okay. And can you announce your name if you'd like?
Hi, Mayor, City Council. My name is Peter Ho. I've been working here and living here for a long time. I think Cupertino is a great city for people to move in. For the past few years, because of lack of housing, few elementary schools, they are closed. So I think the housing, especially fair housing project, is very important. I think this project will pass sooner or later. We just want the city and the developer think about in the long run. We actually have a local event before, and some project near the Memorial Park before. They are being successful cases passed. So I think this case is very important. I know everybody is working on the better solution for both ends, but I think in the long run, for the Cupertino to become a better city, we need more housing, fair housing, affordable housing as well for people to move in. I hope that we can consider in the long run, balance the pros and cons and make a wise decision for everybody, or especially residents for here. That's my short answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Mayor, we will move to members of the public wishing to speak virtually. We have one hand raised. Lisa Warren. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. So I'm not sure where I should start. I guess I'll start with the fiscal impact analysis. I consider that wonky. I'm no expert, but one scenario is the residents will be spending. Well, where are residents going to be spending when all our retail goes away because all we're going to get is housing? They're not going to be spending here. It's not going to benefit us. And that's just a fact, thanks to what the state has decided to do to take control over what cities used to have control of. And that's a reminder to let anybody know that's listening. 15 years ago, our bigger problem started with state. The city's hands are tied in many ways, and the state has failed every city in the state by maneuvering how they have maneuvered. That's my opinion. It's the opinion of many. And there are examples of it all over the place. And even this, you know, you can use housing element, or you can use this AB or this SB. It's so entwined in a mess that's why we're having these kind of discussions, in my opinion. And very simply put, I feel for the residents on Wheaton, et cetera. If I lived there, I would be right with them asking for more help to not intrude on them. I feel their pain. I want to know, because this is a question I think every development needs to be asked, or the public needs to know, will dark sky and bird safe requirements be applied to all of these types, no matter what law they decide to use? I need to know that. I think we all need to know that, because that is an added burden on nearby neighbors if it's not done. Yeah. The feathering and the other things that the developer has already agreed to, great. I don't think it would hurt for you to extend some more to these neighbors. And I'm horrified by the woman's business information that she shared. And before I lose my time, for artwork, please connect with Jeffrey Reed and Jennifer Madden. They did the work over at what used to be the Oaks, and it's beautiful.
Thank you, Lisa. That is your time. Mayor, that concludes the request to speak on this item.
All right. Thank you. Are there any further clarifying questions at this time?
Yeah.
Clarifying questions? Okay. So please ask them now. Otherwise, I will be closing the public hearing. Okay.
So
Vice Mayor.
one public member mentioned about a potential parking adjustment that he didn't finish. I am curious. Can we ask him to come? He was proposing a potential adjustment for to allow space for setback.
Okay, let's allocate 1 minute to that. Do you think that's adequate? Okay.
The person who has all the pages.
Is that Mr.
Was that Jerry? Is that you? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Could you
put it on the projector that everyone can see? And you didn't finish your last part about a proposal to maybe adjust parking spaces to allow more setback. Yeah.
Yes, and it should display shortly. Video, are you able to show the projector screen? We're just waiting for your projection to display. Here we go. Okay, you are welcome to start.
Okay, another way we can consider here is public parking there. So here at the entry area, there's a public parking. Here on the corner, you can see that's the apartment, whatever, the townhouse community. They have a similar, a similar design, but they put the public parking on the rear against the wall on the residence of on the other side of Wheaton Drive. So then they have a road there. They can have a round trip around the building. So here, if a developer could consider put the public parking also on the rear against the wall, similar as here, and then remove the green area portion of everything to the rear, then they can create a round circle road around all those rear buildings. So it's not good for us, also good for the tenant on the end unit of the building. So that's one way we can consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fruin?
So to get some additional clarification from staff, the Summerhill project was raised as a topic, but just for the sake of clarity, the shift there to allow for a greater rear setback was entirely voluntary on the part of the applicant, yes?
Yes, that was. They could have had a more reduced setback had they desired.
Okay. And then also just to clarify, in, say, any other neighborhood, there's a number of things that could be built very, very close to the property line. One thinks, for example, of ADUs that can be as close as 4 feet. And similarly, in a typical single-family neighborhood, an ordinary single-family house can come as close as 10 feet to the rear property line, even on the main portion of the home. And that says nothing about side yard setbacks. So can you run us through some of the rear and side yard setback scenarios? I just want to see how close this is to what we would ordinarily see in any other neighborhood.
Sure, with a minor residential permit, a single family, and in an R1 zoning district can get as close as 10 feet. And, the caveat being that, there has to be a certain amount of rear yard space for that applicant to want that 10-foot setback. For side setbacks, you can be as close as 5 feet, as long as it's, if it's an R15, it's combined 10. If it's anything above that, it's, a combined 15.
Okay, and then this would really, I think, probably be best answered by the applicant, but I want to get a very clear idea of what it is that you're committing to with regard to privacy screening, both in terms of a trellis and in terms of plantings.
Sure, no problem. We're agreeing to add a 2-foot trellis along the rear property line to go on top of the existing 6-foot sound wall, and then we're agreeing to add a tree in each of between the two projects. There'll be 6 private yards in total, and we'll plant a tree in each one of those yards. That's what we're committing to. That, and then the 2-story units along the rear property line.
Okay, it also looked to me like there were far fewer windows that would be looking in the direction of the homes behind. Is that also true?
Well, yes. Originally you had 3-story homes. Now you're going to have 2-story homes. There are windows in the 2-story homes some of them will look that direction.
Okay. And then I realize you're not legally obligated to it because you get to apply under the DBL as designed, but there was a suggestion made by a member of the public as to, rearranging certain parts of the green space and the parking. Is any of that potentially feasible to you?
No.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that at all?
Well, yeah, I think, we spent time, we had a community meeting. I met with the neighbors and had coffee with 2 of them. I understand that they're not happy with the end result. I think that it should really be factored in that we step down from 3-story homes to 2-story homes. Along those 6 units in total, I think we lost 2,400 square feet of livable space. It'll cost the project, I would say, somewhere around $250,000 to make the changes, both to the architectural plans, the different building types, to redesign the landscaping and the civil plans for the project. So it's not just a throwaway to make that change. In addition, we're happy to do the planting. We're happy to do the trellis. I think it's important to remember we're providing housing in a housing crisis. We're providing 20% BMR housing. And at this point, to just say shift it closer to Stevens Creek, I think at first blush that sounds like a quick fix. There's a lot more moving parts to that than just making that change. And I think what we provided to the neighborhood is a reasonable middle ground.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify real quickly with staff. Are these units allowed to have an ADU later on built?
They could, yes.
So the ones in the rear yard at the north end, So is it possible that at some point they could use the state law, and then go to a 4-foot, if they wanted to? And the height they're allowed to is at 25 feet?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall, but I mean, could they do additional ADs? Of course, pending they have like you said, the 4-foot setback from the property line, as these are wouldn't be considered high density, but they would be considered townhomes, and so yeah. Long story short, a short answer to your to a longer question would be to a longer response would be yes, they could do ADU. Correct.
Okay. Also, back on the Staples project. So yes, it was the developer who decided to make that accommodation after meeting with the neighbors. The neighbors, they still have an ongoing builder's remedy project, 5 stories, built out very fully on the lot next to single-story family residence as well. So we're still in litigation over that matter. Okay, so next I see Vice Mayor, your hand is raised, and then we have Councilmember Mohan.
Okay, just to follow up on the question from the public. The dark sky and bird safe ordinance, would apply to this project?
Yes, in fact, there is a condition of approval in the draft ASA resolution that says
Great,
as such.
thank you. I checked our B2B tax is about 70% of our sales tax, so it's an important. I hope that in the future we do consider them in the fiscal impact analysis. And then I wonder, would the HOA agreement be able to add a condition that no ADU will be built in the rear setback area? Would that be a viable
I think that's a state law issue. I don't know if the city is able to preempt, or an HOA is allowed to preempt state law as it relates to where an ADU could be placed.
Okay. And then, so for those, the proposed changes, thank you for accommodating 3-unit to 2-unit. Really appreciate that. I understand that our hands are tied by the state law, and we cannot use any of these to reject the project. However, I think my duty as a council member is still do my best to see if there is any way we can still address the concerns. So I have to ask these questions. And I was wondering about that green stripe in the middle of the property. Is it possible to move it up? You said it's not possible. Can you elaborate it a little more on that? I think, let me.
When I met with Mr. Su, he had a number of
So this is, thank you. This is slides from you guys, so thank you for that. The green stripe in the middle, it seems to be possible to move it north, so we have more space adjoining the neighborhoods.
Well, I think, it's hard because there's a lot of moving parts here. In order to provide the 2-story units along the rear property line, we're actually having to shift those 4 buildings that run horizontally that direction towards Stevens Creek, so we don't reduce the setback anymore. So I don't believe that there's an opportunity there. I also think it's important to point out that I think on average, the single-family homes that abut our property line are 24 to 25 feet setback. So you're looking at a 25-foot setback to their rear fence line, then a 14-foot setback to our 2-story home. So you're looking about 39 to 40 feet between their building-to-building setback, and then an additional 26 feet to a 3-story unit. So I actually think it's a reasonable feathering of density. I live in a R1 single-family small lot community, and I have a single-family neighbor my property lines are 5-foot setback on both sides. single story to two-story. So I don't think it's an unreasonable transition. I completely recognize the change is difficult, but I also think it's very important to remember we're not even building at the maximum density allowed. We're building around 20 units to the acre. We could have built at 25 to the acre under the zoning that existed prior to the upzoning on the R4 parcel. In addition, we could have used state density bonus law and put more units with higher density with higher building types. I think what we're providing is a reasonable product type for this neighborhood. I think it's an entry-level housing type for the city of Cupertino, and we need to remember that Cupertino, like all cities, needs more housing. And so I understand neighbors are not going to be...
Yeah. And we are mandated by the states to build a lot more housing. So actually, we zone this for a lot higher, 4 to 6 stories. And I would prefer we have 4 to 6 stories, since we do need the unit. But even whether we have 4 to 6 or townhome, I do still want to explore all the possibility that we can address the concerns. So it's not at all possible to move it further south a little bit.
No, we're not comfortable making a change at this point. I'm sorry.
Thank for the suggestion about putting the parking in the back. I think that works when it's for the other side, which is a corner lot. So maybe for future projects that's at a corner lot, maybe that's something the planning staff can suggest to the developer, put parking near the single-family home. Yeah, but I think it probably doesn't work for this project. Thank you.
Councilmember Mohan?
I wanted to follow up on the question that one of the speakers had. She runs the physical therapy business, and she talked about spending all this money to do some tenant improvements. And after she was done with all that, she found out that the place was going to be sold. Have you talked to existing tenants, and is there some solution in mind, or?
So we're in contract to purchase both of the properties. The leases are with the existing landowner. We put signage on the site, the noticing requirements. I have emailed with the owner of that business. Those negotiations are between that landowner and that tenant. I can tell you, like I mentioned in our presentation, because of the existing leases in the 57-unit portion, we had always slated this project to be built in 2027 or 2028. That was my understanding of when that lease ran to, 2028. I'm not familiar with the extension she referenced, or I'm not a party to that extension that she's referencing that goes to 2031. But from our perspective, we're not buying the property until the site is clear of tenants. I have no intention of trying to kick people out of their existing leases. We'll be starting the 32-unit portion sometime in late summer 2026, because that's when the leases that exist expire. And then it will be between the businesses and the landlord about if they want to negotiate a termination early and move on, or if they want to stay until their leases expire.
Right. When I talked to you a few days back, you did talk about the daycare, and that the lease would expire maybe end of 2026, and that you wouldn't start anything till after.
Yes. So my understanding is that.
But I wasn't sure about this one.
I've never seen that lease. I believe the speaker's current lease goes to 2028, and
that's what she said.
Yeah, so our intention was to start the project and break ground when all the tenants leave the property.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, I'm not sure that the health and safety impact from potential traffic has been mentioned. Could we touch on that for a little bit?
Yes, is there a specific question about the...
Well, I would think that AB 130 impacts the discussion on this item. Has there been some identified quantifiable health and safety impact due to the traffic?
No.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
Oh, thank you. We do need housing. However, businesses do provide essential services which make our quality of life better. So I do want to, again, understand the impact of business. So what's the occupancy percentage right now on this building? Do we know?
I don't know the occupancy percentage because I'm not a part of those leases. I think the 57 unit portion, one of the buildings is primarily vacant, but there are a large number of tenants in both one of the buildings on the 57 unit portion and on the
I think a lot
32
of times when we replace this older office building, we lose long time businesses who provide services to our residents. So I'm just trying to understand, besides the essential service to special need, what other, and the daycare, what other businesses are we losing? Maybe can you provide the information to me after the meeting so I get an understanding? And it's true that right now there is a downturn in terms of office space, but it might be temporary. But as a city, we do still need businesses and retail to provide both services and also sales tax. So just, I know we do need housing too, but just need to understand the impact to us. Thank you.
I believe that concludes our clarifying questions, and the public hearing is now closed. So I want to thank staff and the applicant for providing all of the information and answering all of our extensive questions. Would any council member like to make a motion on the item?
Sure.
I'll move the recommended action.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just ask.
Open this up for comments. Councilmember Freund.
Yes, I wonder if there would be perhaps some supplemental direction that we could offer to the city manager with respect to developments, frankly, that are like this, that have tenants that are still in them, for our economic development manager to develop a plan to help with folks who might be getting displaced over time. I think that the vice mayor's comments are readily understood.
That would be great, because I was thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Do any council members want to make some concluding remarks before we go to a vote?
Okay, Mayor. So
Vice Mayor?
I wish the setback could be bigger. But given the pressure under which the state is giving us, this actually, you guys locked out because the next project could be a 6-story building. So I think these are townhomes. It's the least impact buildings. It does have the impact that the extra units we are required by the state to build have to be pushed actually to other sites in Cupertino. So other area will have actually bigger impact because developers are building less units than required on this site. So I sympathize the impact to the adjoining single-family home. I think I really appreciate that developer. I think every developer that I've met with, they have tried to accommodate community requests like this. They have even lowered the building, which to them is an impact on their income. So I really appreciate the developer's willingness to do that. Of course, we can't get everything, but still, this is a project I would support. And thank you, the staff, for all the good work on the project. So looking forward to seeing them. But yeah, I agree with Councilmember Fruin. We want to have see how we can help the existing business, especially the long-term ones that have existing lease, how we can help them to relocate. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick question about the additional trees. Do we need to have a friendly amendment to our motion to include that?
I would say so, considering that the planning commission just said consider hedges, and I think the applicant had offered a tree in each of the adjoining yards. So I think it would be, if that's the direction the council wants to go, I think it'd be good to clarify that motion to add that.
Okay, so.
As well as a trellis, correct?
Okay, so could the mover and the seconder please add in the additional tree per lot as specified by the developer and the additional trellis?
Accept the friendly amendment.
And our seconder?
Yes, accepted.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fruin?
No, I just wanted to thank staff for all the preparation that went into today. The applicant for patience with us. We've had lots of questions for you and your willingness to accommodate. I know that you can't accommodate everything. I will emphasize you weren't really required to accommodate any of it. But I also know that you have a lot of other projects that are in this town and hope to continue to do business here. And so in light of the fact that we were trying to create some sort of long-standing good relationship, I appreciate your willingness to try to work with everyone and with the neighbors in particular. And I also want to thank the neighbors for showing up. You don't get what you don't ask for, and you came and asked. Thank you.
Okay, so I also want to echo my fellow council members and thank staff again for all their work on this item. I'm well aware that the project could be much more dense, a lot taller, and I'm sure a lot more difficult for the neighbors to handle. We do have projects like that which are in the pipeline that the neighbors are going to have to contend with, and they were not given any chance to try to negotiate with the developer, and it's since 2019, it's been like that, where the housing laws have really tied our hands. For items of health and safety impacts, it's next to impossible to ever see one that actually has any teeth. It's really a difficult route to try to get a project changed because of that. I hope you do have an opportunity to look at the written communications with regards to the public art and look at what's already been built so that we're really adding something of beauty to the city that we appreciate. I noticed the size of the units. They're very, very large size, 2,600 square feet for the larger ones. Hopefully that will accommodate families and we'll have more students because we have the declining enrollment situation in the city. And with regards to Summerhill, please, if you may, reach out to them and all the research that they did on their project. And they really looked into the portfolios of some artists, and I think that would really be a very nice addition. I am seeing two hands raised now. Vice Mayor Chow, and then Councilmember Mohan.
Should Councilmember Mohan speak first? I just have additional comments.
Short.
Okay, Councilmember Mohan.
I just wanted to say thank you to staff as well. They've been very patient with me. Also, thank you to the applicant. This is their first big foray into Cupertino, from everything I understand. And, you sounded, Josh, when I spoke with you, you sounded excited and wanting to do more projects for our city. And that's exactly the kind of thing we are looking for. So welcome to our city.
And Vice Mayor.
I'm sharing my screen. I just want to point out one more thing I appreciate about the project for positive reinforcement. I really appreciate that for the 11 BMR units, they are in exactly comparable in size with the market rate units, because we have some other developer that's offering only tiny studio, like 600 square foot BMR units. But here we are going to have units that's suitable for families, and then many families like to move to Cupertino for our schools. So you are providing that opportunity for 11 families to have affordable housing. So thank you for that.
All right. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote?
It's ready for you now. Please vote with your lights. The motion carries unanimously with Councilmember Wong absent.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to move on to item 16, and this one potentially might be quicker than 15 due to the similarities. So item 16 is to consider a new residential development of 32 townhomes, Dividend Homes 2, including 6 affordable units to replace 3 office buildings on a 1.77 acre site located mid-block corner on Stevens Creek Boulevard between Randy Lane and Blaney Avenue. First, I'm opening the public hearing now. First, have there been any ex parte communications by the council members? As I said earlier, I met with the developer on Teams yesterday. Council Member Mohan?
Yes, I met with the developer as well.
Okay.
No.
No.
No. Okay. Madam City Manager, do we have a staff presentation?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the part 2 of the project that I had introduced at the beginning. So with that, I will turn it over to staff for a quick overview of this portion of the project. John.
Thank you, Tina. And again, it's me. So we have the presentation up TV. If you put my presentation up, it's ready. So again, this is phase 2 of the Dividend Home project, which is adjacent to east of the site at 20045 and 20065 Stevens Creek Boulevard. And just to remind the council and the community that the phases in this sense are just indicate when they came in as applications, and as Josh had mentioned from Dividend Homes, that this site might actually be developed first. Okay. And again, is to consider this 32 townhome development, including 6 affordable units to replace the 3 office buildings on 1.77 acre site. And so similar to the slide from the last presentation, the phase 1 portion, again, is west of it with the project site to the east of the phase 1. And this side is closer to Blaney Avenue. Okay. In terms of what are the existing buildings, 20065, you have an 8,200 square foot office building. I believe it's single story, with the 20085 site being almost 18,000 square foot office building. Again, within the heart of the city specific plan. Again, this one came in a little bit later. The SB 330 application that came in February 2025. Lock in 25 dwelling units an acre, as well as other objective standards between the HOC and the municipal code. And then the development application was submitted March 3rd, 2025. Again, here's a brief site plan. One of the differences with this site plan in terms of programming, as you see on the northwest corner, there is a larger common open space, although technically doesn't count because it's within the setback, but at least it provides some type of common open space with some programming that could be shared between the 2 developments. Again, 32 units, 6 BMR, split evenly between median and moderate incomes. The resulting density is even lower than the last one, 18.1 dwelling units an acre. There are 5 three-story buildings ranging from 2,100 to 2,700 square feet. Again, that's inclusive of garage space. Again, qualifies for density bonus. The concessions and waivers, similar building bulk, front setback, side and rear setbacks, as well as the terracing in the rear, tandem spaces, and the common open space. And the concession, again, is the elimination of the retail requirement. Parking reduction, it's allowed by statute because it's a density bonus project. They're required to provide 60 spaces, but with their 2 enclosed spaces per unit and 5 additional spaces that are unenclosed and shared, you come to a grand total of 69 spaces that will be provided, therefore 9 more spaces than what is required. Similar to last time, you have the photo simulation along Stevens Creek Boulevard, which, if you do request the presentation, that the design consultant for the applicant can discuss this as well. Planning Commission recommended approval of this as a 5-0 vote with the reduction of the 2 units that are adjacent to the Wheaton Drive parcels be reduced in height, considering the inclusion of hedges along the back line as well as a trellising on the fences on the back wall. This project went through AB 130. It qualifies statutorily for that secret exemption, as well as this project being conditioned by the Municipal Code, Chapter 17. The recommended action is consistent with the Planning Commission recommendation, which is to find this project exempt and approve the draft resolutions for those permits. And again, the next step is that the Council's decision is final unless there's a request for reconsideration consistent with the Municipal Code within 10 days. And that concludes my presentation.
Right. Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions from the council at this time? Okay. Not hearing it.
Not me.
Okay.
Vice moving it.
I do see a hand raised from Councilmember Fruin, correct?
In looking at the 2 projects side by side, it appears as though they have points that could eventually traverse each other in order to connect the 2 projects. Is it your understanding that would eventually happen?
Yes, that's our understanding from the developer, that this will be a single project and under the jurisdiction of a single homeowner association as well.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I do want to clarify. So for this one, the recommendation from Planning Commission, is that included in the recommended action, those documents?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing that for this one also.
I'm not seeing any further clarifying question requests. Madam City Manager, do we have a presentation from the applicant?
I believe there's a brief comments from the applicant.
Yeah, I'll just make some brief comments. Thanks, everybody. Josh Frotzis, Dividend Homes. Just to confirm, the plan is to ultimately punch the road through on the back. We had to do them as 2 separate applications because they were 2 separate landowners, and if anything came up with one of the sellers, we wanted to make sure we had standalone projects. This project will be commencing in the summer, this coming summer, 2026. Has a really nice common area along the back, same elevations, same floor plans. Ultimately, it'll live like one overall project under one HOA. We thank you for support. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. At this time, are there any clarifying questions of staff or the applicant? Councilmember Fruin, followed by the Vice Mayor.
It's become somewhat more popular amongst a lot of developers who are doing these types of townhouse projects to include in the CC&Rs or in the homeowners agreement that they are going to park in their actual garages. Is that something you intend to include in your CCNRs?
We don't actually typically do that. We don't really like to tell private landowners what to do with their property. I do understand the concern that sometimes in tandem units or side-by-side units, people store their personal items, but we're a pretty firm believer in property rights.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, followed by Councilmember Mohan.
So would there be two separate HOAs?
No, the plan is, well, it'll be a phased development, but we'll have a master HOA.
But it'll be one HOA.
Correct.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Because I had another case where a property was sold to 3 different people, and then they have 3 different HOAs, and that's create administration work for the city when they disagree with each other. So this is good, yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Mohan.
So the most significant sort of disagreement between the residents on Wheaton and you is the setback. Is that the one big unresolved issue?
I think that's an accurate statement.
That is the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much, as you said, there's not much you can do about it.
No, and I think it's important to recognize there's only 2 homes that side abut the rear property line here, and then it's common area. So I think it's a fair condition.
There's 2 homes, what?
There's only 2 homes because the units towards the rear property line are sideways. If you pull up the site plan, there's only 2 homes that actually abut the rear property line, and those will now be 2-story homes. So what I'm saying is I feel it's a fair transition.
So you're talking about the 2 homes in the new development?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Vice Mayor?
So I'm trying to put the 2 sites side by side. So I understand. There will be an entrance road that goes from one to the other. They will be connected.
If the TV crew could show my screen, I have it up.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you see behind building 3 on the project we're looking at right now, it shows green open space because we had to design them as separate projects. But ultimately, whenever we develop 2011 and 2085 Stevens Creek Boulevard, the road will put language in the CCNRs that allows us to push the road through. So actually, it'll have a loop road, assuming the second phase is developed, and then the homeowners will all be able to use the open space in the 32-unit portion. We thought it made more sense to have them ultimately connect and live as one project.
Okay. So there will be the middle red line. Would there be like a walk path to walk through?
Oh, the middle red line is just to show you. Sorry, I can't see it on the screen anymore. But that just shows you where the current parcel line is. It's just a property line that will disappear. Essentially.
So there is no walk path to the open space. People need to walk on the road. I'm just.
Well, there's sidewalks next to buildings.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, they'll
Okay.
connect there.
And just curious about the fire exit. So fire engine road.
Yes.
How is?
So we meet all fire turning radiuses. We did a lot of work on that. There's also on the, east side of the project that we're looking at, you can see it kind of midway up the property line. There's an existing EVA that is in place, and we're actually maintaining that EVA right there in the exact same location or approximate location. So fire will have that'll be up to fire if they want to raise curb or bollards, but there'll be an additional access point for fire safety.
Okay, and where are the garbage disposed? The garbage.
Well, all homes have individual bins.
And then the garbage trucks will need to be able to drive into them?
Correct, yes. That's all been cleared by track.
So so it's large enough for the garbage truck to maneuver.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be here tonight if there wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, we went through all that.
Thank you. It looks narrow, but I guess you know what you are doing.
Okay, I'm not seeing any further clarifying questions. So now we will go to public comments. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
Yes, Mayor, we have 4 requests to speak in person in Community Hall, and I'm currently seeing 2 hands raised remotely, so about 18 minutes. Just a reminder for any members of the public wishing to speak on this item should submit a request to speak or raise their hand virtually within the first 9 minutes. So we'll move to in-person public comments first. Todd McNair, followed by Whitney McNair, followed by Jerry Sue. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you. This project actually is, my house is the one that is directly abutting the second building from the right. So this is one that affects me personally. I asked of the council to, when you do the motion for the approval, to include the friendly amendments that you did in the other project for this project as well. And that's it. I'll cede my time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Todd. Next up, we have Whitney McNair, followed by Jerry Sue, followed by Sandy Siren. No request is, okay, thank you, Whitney. Next, we'll move on to Jerry Sue. Did you want to speak again, Jerry?
Yeah, I don't have too much about the same. I don't understand what they say. They cannot move a little bit at the middle green area, the landscaping, cut a little bit there to the rear to increase the rear setback. I think it's possible, not to affect any design, not to raise any cost for the redesign or shifting. So I think it should be considered. And the second one, I just heard for the fire line. So right now, all the driveway between the rear buildings is a dead end. So if the fire happened in between the 2 buildings, there's just green area there, the fire station cannot reach there. So if they raise the rear setback and create a round road there, so that be good for the setback, solve the setback problem, also give good situation if a fire happened in between the buildings. So there's a dead end there. It can make a circular road around the rear buildings. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next up, we have Sandy Siren. Did Sandy want to? No? No additional comments? Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the request to speak virtually. 2 hands raised. We have Lisa Warren, followed by San Rao. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm just going to add what I couldn't fit into my last 3 minutes. Actually, I thought of a new thing. So these have, per the developer, some of these units have rooftop space. So if the neighbors on Wheaton, et cetera, are concerned about privacy, I hope that the units that have rooftop open space are somehow shielded from looking down upon the homes behind them. That's not been discussed. I'm also wondering if there's any solar in the plan with flat roofs and rooftops, maybe not, but it would really be great if there was, and I don't know if there's any city requirements for some of that or state requirements. It's kind of a mystery. And I also want to thank the Vice Mayor for clarifying the bird safe dark sky. That's much appreciated. And I really appreciate that the developer is putting the park and open space in the first phase, I think I'm correctly stating that, so that it's there for the first phase to enjoy until the second phase is done, and then they all can enjoy it. And I totally agree with Councilmember Fruin's You don't get what you don't ask for. So neighbors, please keep asking because it's the only thing we have we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, we have San Rao. Welcome, San.
Good evening, Mayor Moore and council members. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission, but speaking on behalf of myself only, I want to apologize for not being there for the earlier part of the hearing. I want to thank the vice chair of the Planning Commission for covering for the hearing while I was unable to be there. I want to recognize that this project actually brings in close to 90 new Cupertino families that we very much need into the neighborhood. And so while you're hearing from a wide variety of stakeholders on this project, as we did at the Planning Commission, I think what you're not hearing from are those 90 families that if they were there today would probably have also spoken on behalf of themselves for being able to, for the price that they pay for these units, to be able to get that extra square footage of living space or extra square footage of usable backyard space in these already constrained units that we build these days compared to units that were built on lots that were much larger 30 or 40 years ago. And so I ask that council keep in mind these 90 new families that we very much want to welcome and want to make them fully achieve value for the dollar they're paying for these units. And so if we can achieve privacy, that's a good middle ground. I think the developer has gone well above and beyond what was required in reducing from three floors to 2 floors, and I appreciate that. And I would very much want to maintain, from a city perspective, cordial relationships with developers like themselves so that we can continue to achieve goodwill for future projects. What we do not want to do is have a conversation that takes advantage of their offer to be amenable and to then start to push even harder for changes. In any negotiation, we want to have a win-win. And I think we have a very good win-win outcome here. Again, if you keep in mind 90 new homes coming in are going to appreciate that extra space that they get. On the matter of trees versus hedges, maybe this was discussed, but perhaps privacy is better maintained with hedges that provide for a denser cover, and hedges may also be faster growing, but perhaps that topic was discussed. I know, having lived in a new subdivision myself over 20 years ago now in Santa Clara, I personally did not like the trees the developer planted. They were plum trees that happened to drop on the backyard concrete and did not allow for the concrete to be usable space. I had to have those trees removed and install new trees myself that allowed for the space to be usable. So there are some pros and cons to requiring the developer to plant trees versus giving that flexibility to the homeowners who would like to landscape and have their own beautiful landscaping of their own. So I ask that you consider the requirement to maintain privacy through the CCNR and the HOA versus enforcing it. Thank you.
Thank you, San. And Mayor, that concludes the request to speak on this item.
Thank you. Are there any further clarifying questions from the council at this point? And I do have my own hand raised. Is there any solar on this particular project? So I'm seeing nods. Okay.
I'll let the applicant answer that one.
Yes, they're going to have solar. It depends on the size of the roof, the size of the system, but yes, the homes are going to have solar.
Thank you. With regards, this might be a staff question, with regards to the fire access, the fire department was given a plan set for review. Could you describe that process a little bit, please?
Sure. Even during, so the way when we take in plans, we for land use and planning, we do like a completeness review. Then subsequently, once the application deemed complete, we do consistency with any type of standards we have. But one thing we do, even during completeness review, we route all the plans to other departments, other divisions, outside agencies, including fire, as well as waste management, just to ensure the site design is consistent with their standards as well. And typically, it's waste and fire are the ones that are the most difficult and had the most opinions on site design, but this one passed both agencies, outside agencies, to their liking, and so it's the city staff is comfortable with their conclusions.
Right. And they're able to maneuver their vehicles properly, both for fire and then your weekly trash pickup.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And the park area that you have will happen in what phase?
The first phase. So that's part of the 32 unit portion, and that will start. We're hopeful we'll get permits issued by the end of the summer.
Okay. And did you have some ideas of what you wanted to have for amenities in that space?
Typically what we'll do is we'll do trellis seating. We like to keep it open so the kids have somewhere to play. We also typically will add something like, we can't do gas anymore, but, or maybe we can now, but we typically now just do outdoor barbecues so people can have a gathering space for their kids.
Okay. So, Vice Mayor?
So, just wondering, would there be, because I learned that in order to have EV charger for an older home, we need to redo our electric wiring. So would your wiring be okay for people to have EV charger at their garage?
Absolutely. All the homes are all electric, and then each garage is pre-wired for a 220 outlet.
Oh, that's great. And then I think regarding the recommendation from planning, I think you mentioned also that for the units, two-story units abutting single-family home, you won't include the rooftop deck.
That's correct. There will not be any livable space on
the
roof.
other units.
Correct.
So is this in the agreement?
I don't think we discussed that there would be no rooftop living, but the homes are not designed with rooftop open space on the two-story, and you can make that as part of our conditions of approval. We're not going to add a rooftop deck for those homes.
Yeah,
We want to
I
respect
would
it.
prefer if we add that in conditions of approval, because a lot of times the project gets sold to someone else, and if we don't add the condition, this verbal agreement might not get in. So
I
if
have no
that's
problem with you
okay,
adding it, and we intend to build it, but I'm
okay,
happy with
that
that
would be
condition.
great. Then, so, yeah, I think one of the speaker mentioned this. A lot of times, trees serving as privacy screening do not get maintained. So I know you don't like to set rules for HOA, so could we require the HOA, I don't know, to maintain the hedges or the trees for the privacy screening to ensure they serve the purpose? I'm not sure how that could be done.
Respectfully, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with having the HOA maintain a private yard. We are going to plant a tree in each one at the neighbor's request. We did that on the Palo Alto project they referenced. We'd like to leave the private yards up to the individual homeowner, and it is a relatively small private yard, so that's why we decided to go with the tree. We haven't picked the specimen of the tree yet because this agreement just occurred in the last week or so, but I can work with staff and our landscape consultant to pick a tree that grows quickly and does not drop plums if possible.
So it's not-
we want to have a tree that shades the building, that grows quickly, that provides privacy. That will be our goal. I'm happy to work with Jean.
So it will be on the private yard, but but it's right next to the property line of the single-family home, right? So there's.
If I could add some clarification, so any type of tree on either of these projects will be considered a development tree, which is protected per the municipal code. So if they were going to remove it or trim it more than 25% of the foliage or canopy, rather, that would require a tree removal permit, and so subject to permit fees and replacement and whatnot.
Okay, let me clarify. So this is so the tiny strip of green in the north, that will be a private yard for the unit that's the end unit in.
So the
Are
area
you
at the
saying
end
that
of
will be private yard?
the area at the end of the stub alley is common open space, and then there'll be essentially side yard fences for, on this site, 2 of the units to have private yards, which will be maintained by those individual owners. All the other open space will be maintained by the HOA as part of their common area, paid for by their common area dues. So the HOA board will control any changing of that landscape, and as John noted, we'd have to follow all city policies.
So the private yard owner do have the right to add ADUs under state law.
You know, I think that's a better question for the city attorney. There's such a, and not that you couldn't put a micro unit there, but it's a very tight space.
Okay.
So ultimately, I don't know what those homeowners will do, nor do I know what the state law is on that
Now,
issue.
final question. Your units are all 3-4 bedrooms, pretty large size. I do wonder, how come you did not consider smaller units but more units? Does that not work out for you economically? 2 bedrooms, 3 bedroom rather than 3-4 bedrooms?
No, we kind of always look at the community we're building. We're building this product up in Palo Alto with a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units. And the feedback we've been getting from our buyers is that they actually they prefer the 3 and 4 bedroom units. Basically, typically you have a ground floor garage and entry, then you have your kitchen on the 2nd floor. In some of these plans, we added a bedroom on that 2nd floor, and then the 3rd floor is 2 more bedrooms. But we're seeing more of a demand for 3 and 4 bedroom homes for younger families right now. So that's how we position the product.
It's more valuable in our market.
Well, Cupertino is a fantastic housing market, and I think you're correct that with an extra, you're going to get value out of that 3rd and 4th bedroom. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I was wondering if John could pull up the site plan that was being referred to, and we could just have those, the property lines for those townhomes pointed out. You could maybe use your cursor.
Would you like the site plan that shows both phases together?
I would prefer that one, yeah.
Sure. There we go.
Okay, so looking in the northeast area, so where is the yard space for the end units?
So if you look at the area that's next to the garage, it's a shaded in a little bit of a different green. That's where the private yard is going to be.
So that's what you mean by micro ADU?
I mean, it's just not a large. To be honest, our homeowners are thrilled by it because most town homeowners don't get a private yard, and when we've been able to do it in other cities, it's been a success. That's part of the reason we agreed to do it, because it's a unique condition for a townhome. You typically don't see it. So yes, it's not a huge amount of space.
So the tree request isn't actually in their side yard area. It would be in the common open
Actually,
space.
no. We have trees planned in the common open space. This is just a rendering for what it's worth. But in the private yards of the 2 on this project and the 4 on the other, we're agreeing to. Originally, we were going to plant nothing. Typically, what we do is we just put in some sort of pad for entry into the home, and then we leave it to the homeowner. Here, we're going to plant a tree and provide irrigation.
Okay.
The neighbors requested that, so we're going to plant a tree. That's what we did up in Palo Alto, the one they looked at. We're happy to do it.
Okay. And what is the dimension of that side yard roughly?
14 by 25. Is what you're saying?
Oh. Okay. So there's plenty enough room for the tree there. It just looks very, very narrow on this particular site plan because it's scaled down. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Councilmember Fruin?
Yeah, I think there was just one last question from the. If you can actually put the image back up, and we can scroll back to some of the ones that show the elevations for the step down from the 3-story to the 2-story. Yeah. So it looks like you've already given lots of thought to this issue of, sight line from the rooftop deck, and that it is well screened. It's an impermeable wall, so you can't actually see down from there into anyone else's yard. Is that accurate?
Well, I think what you're referencing is the side wall of the home.
Yeah.
There, I mean, people can look that direction clearly
Sure.
and see out, yes. But we've put a lot of care in between the individual units to provide screening. Obviously, individual homeowners don't necessarily want someone looking right into their private space. So we have, as you can see there, some screening there.
Got it. But it's
we
a
also have to
notice-
respect fire because fire needs a line clear to get across the rooftop deck. So there has to be an opening on at least one side of the site.
Got it. But suffice it to say, it's very different from your old side facing where you pretty clearly could look down.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I am not seeing any further clarifying questions.
Final one.
Okay, I've got a final question.
Okay, just you are going to build this project yourself, right?
Correct.
Not selling to anyone else.
Our intention is to build the homes.
Yeah,
We're
great.
very excited about it. We have a partner on it, CalSTRS, Resmark. It's the teachers union money is our equity partner on the site. We plan to build it as soon as as soon as the site is clear. So we plan on submitting building permits hopefully in the next 30 days and then moving forward through plan check.
Okay, great. So I'm happy to make the motion again.
Okay, so I'm closing the public hearing. Please go ahead.
So I'll motion the staff recommendation and with the same friendly amendment we have earlier. I think the staff recommendation already has the 2 units, that's 2 stories abutting the north side. And but then with the friendly amendment was the hedges along the back and trees and the trellis are required on the north side of the strip, right? Does that still apply for this? Yeah, I think it applies for this one also, but we would like to add that there will be no rooftop deck for those 2-story units. Okay.
Yeah, sounds fair.
And the question for city attorney is, could we add this to the motion for item 15? For the, how do we do that? For the no rooftop deck requirement? Forgot to specifically mention it, although the applicant did mention they would not have a rooftop deck there.
That's a good question. I feel like we've already finished with the last item, and it makes it very complicated to try to make that happen.
Okay, fine. Okay, so that's the motion.
I'll second it.
Would anyone like to make some comments on this item, or shall we just go to a vote?
Just a minute. So, city attorney, so if we have majority on the council who, after we vote on this, who would like to reconsider.
Yeah, we could do.
We can do reconsider of item 15.
It's true. I was just going to jump into
We need to continue.
remind that exactly, but we do need to continue the meeting at this time.
Okay. So, no comment.
All right. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote?
And I think to continue the meeting, we should suggest that we will also go back in here, reconsider the prior item.
Okay.
So just to clarify, we're voting on number 16 at this time, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the vote is ready for you. Motion carries unanimously with Councilmember Wong absent.
Okay, so I'm looking at Rosenberg's rules. A motion to reconsider requires a majority vote to pass, like other garden variety motions, but there are 2 special rules that apply only to the motion to reconsider. First is a matter of timing. A motion to reconsider must be made at the meeting where the item was first voted upon. We got that. Motion to reconsider made at a later time is untimely. Second, a motion to reconsider may be made only by certain members of the body. Accordingly, a motion to reconsider may be made only by a member who voted in the majority, which was all of us. Okay. If it passes, then the original matter is back before the body and a new original motion is in order. Okay, so we need to, I believe, move to extend the meeting past 10:30 to hear
The motion to reconsider the
the motion to reconsider.
earlier item.
Okay. Do I have a second? So
Yes.
I'm moving that.
Second.
Thank you.
To extend, right?
To extend and to hear the motion to reconsider in order to look at item 15 in order to make the correction to that prior motion. Do I have a second?
Yes, I seconded
Yes,
it.
got a second. Madam City Clerk, may we conduct the vote?
Okay. The motion carries unanimously with Councilmember Wong absent to extend the meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I move that we reconsider item 15. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote?
Yes. The motion carries unanimously with Councilmember Wong absent.
Okay, so I'm not actually reopening the public hearing at this time. We are returning to the actual vote on the matter. Do I have a motion?
I'll just make the same motion and with the additional condition that there will be no rooftop deck for the two-story units in the north.
I think it would be cleaner if you identified the full motion.
Oh, so the full motion was the staff recommendation plus, which already include the reduction of those north ending units to have only 2 stories. But then we are now requiring hedges along the back and trees on private side and the additional trellising on the fence, right? Oh, trees, trees. Is it? I think both, right? Do I have?
You were
both?
doing a single privacy tree in each yard that's affecting the Wheaton Drive properties, as well as a trellis along the 6-foot sound wall.
So no hedges.
Yeah.
Okay, so trees and trellis, and plus no rooftop deck on those 2-story units. Yeah, that's the motion.
Madam City Clerk, could we go back to the items 16 motion to double check that it didn't have the hedges on there?
Item 16.
Yes. Didn't have the hedges. 16.
I have add trees and trellis and no rooftop deck.
And the hedges are not mentioned.
Hedges were not mentioned.
Okay,
in
so I'm
number
going to
16.
second the new motion.
Okay.
Do we need any discussion? Anyone care to speak? Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote?
Yes. Just to confirm, it was Mayor Moore motioned and Vice Mayor Chow.
Vice Mayor motion, the Mayor second.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, the votes are ready for you now. The motion carries unanimously with Councilmember Wong absent.
Okay, so that completes both items 15 and 16. We did not have a continuation of the oral communications. So we're on item 17. The subject is the city manager's report. City Manager, would you like to make an oral report, or shall we move on to the next item?
Mayor, my reports are included as written reports and links in the agenda.
Okay, wonderful. Next, we have council member reports for your review, and that is item 18. And then we move on to future agenda items, which are tentative and subject to change. That's item 19. Madam City Manager, will we be having a presentation or comments on this item?
I believe this is also an attachment in the agenda at the moment.
Okay, so we will not be having a discussion on it, is that correct? Okay, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for participating live and remotely. This January 21st, 2026 regular meeting is adjourned.